This podcast is brought to you by JList.com. Ever since I moved back from Japan over 5 years ago, JList has offered us devoted support as they have to so many organizations in the anime community, and we as a podcast and myself personally are so very grateful for all the support that JList has offered us over the years. And at the end of August, we and JList have decided to end our promotional arrangement. It's pretty unusual for a company to run promotions for as long as JList has, and we're pretty sure that by now, each and every listener that we have knows that they have a friend in Japan in JList to support all their anime shopping needs. And we hope you will continue to be customers of their great products even after our sponsorship ends. And as we pivot our strategy on financial support, we're putting out a beacon to rally all the Anime Addicts troops. We need your help. If you would like to support the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, you can do so over at aapodcast.com/join or on our Patreon page. Together, we can make sure that this podcast continues to make all of your anime addictions worse all over the world. And we love you very much. And now, as always, on with the podcast.
来てくれてありがとう You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at aapodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome, everybody, to the 538th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Where we're dedicated to making your anime addiction worse. Today we are joined by the all-star crew of Mandi. Mandi, what's up?
Hey guys. Not much. I was looking at anime lamps right now.
Oh, well.
Before we started. They're really cool, by the way. I'll talk about them maybe some other time because I'm thinking about buying one. But hi guys,
Mandi.
I'm here and I'm excited to be here.
Mandi Googling Hunter x Hunter lamps.
It literally is a...
How'd you know?
And of course...
I'll link it to your guys' chat so you can see what they look like.
Oh,
And
lovely.
And on this all-star team, the power forward, number... What would your number be? Number 27, Mason!
Not a bad, that's not a bad number. I'm not actually not going to have that number for too long, but yeah, I guess I was also looking at lamps, not anime lamps, but I was looking at getting like a nice neon lamp, like backdrop that would say like sushi or something. That'd be a nice touch for the room. But anyway, how's it going, everyone? I've got some mood rain coming down on me today, so might hear some big thunderous booms going on, but I'm doing well.
Very nice. And of course, I don't know what my position is. Shooting guard, number 14, Mitsugi. Welcome to the podcast. As I struggle to open up this other energy drink that I have here, can't get it open. For my birthday, I had the Sonic the Hedgehog drink, and I also have a Mega Man E-Tank. Oh my god. I'm gonna be getting my power up here.
Is that one
it's
also blue?
It's blue. It's the same. I'm sure it's the same as the other one. If you want to follow us, you can do so on our website, aapodcast.com. As you probably heard in the opening, we will be ending our promotional arrangement with JList at the end of August, so we need your support more than ever, at least in the last 5 years. So if you head over to aapodcast.com/join, you can help make sure that this podcast continues as it always has over the last decade. And of course, you're going to get lots of good stuff here. You're going to be getting over 160 hentai episodes. We watched Peter Grill, the first 3 episodes in the last hentai episode, and those ogre girls were just... Wait a second, I need a moment.
Mitsugi kept on crying out, Mason, why did you not pass this? This is everything I want in anime, but...
Those ogre girls, oh my god. Over 220 Hobby Addicts episodes, and I just wrote a fuck ton of after parties. I have no idea how many, but I do know that with a little bit of support from you guys, you'll get access to something like 600 additional episodes of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast that you haven't heard before. So help us out. We do need support. So, and also there is a lot of social media going on. We're on Twitch at twitch.tv/AAA podcast. So if you come over and watch us live with all the people that tune in every Sunday, you can have fun with them at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, we're on Facebook. We are doing all kinds of stuff on Facebook, and we have you can see sketches, paintings, cosplays, tattoos, whatever. You can give us your submissions for Fan Art Friday. That's always a lot of fun. And of course, over on Twitter and Discord being really the hot item, I think, on the list here. Guys, what are we doing over on Discord? Make the pitch.
Well, the pitch is, first of all, last Friday, I felt like Commissioner Gordon because we had our watch party for the best worst dubs in anime history, and I was the commissioner. I stood up on the rooftop. I gave the signal to Caroline, who runs the social media, to put out the cat signal, and across the sky on that Friday night, 4 words shown. It said, "Garzy's Wing Drinking Party," off from the shadows, watching from the chaos on high. He was long gone from the city, but he was not forgotten. Kazuo came in like a wrecking ball, and we had like 20 people in chat. Kazuo came flying the Church of
Mitsuki.
And we peer pressured him to buy all of Garzy's Wing on like DVD from Amazon.
No, you did not.
We did. You can look in our chat logs.
Why?
That, he posted evidence of it because it was amazing. We had so much fun listening to that City or Tokyo 808 and Ghost Stories episode 1. So we watched a bunch of dubs, and we had a blast. So if you're like, man, I really wish I could have gotten in on that. Well, we will be having another watch party.
What the
of
fuck?
A grand design sometime in September. So we will keep you up to date. But if you want grand adventures like that, Discord's the place to be. We also have our anime club. Next one will be August 26th at 10 p.m. EDT. We're going to be talking Natsuyuki Rendezvous, which is some weird romance show that I actually need to start watching so I can be up to date for that. You can watch it on High Dive or Amazon. So we'd love to see you there.
We also have my manga club, and the next one will be on September 2nd. We'll be discussing the first 2 volumes of Yuri Is My Job. And it should be fun. So come join us on Discord. All you have to do is go down to the Manga Club channel, and you can get, if you check the pin note there, you can get all the information that you need on what we are reading, the chapters, the time, and there's also a list there of things that are coming up next. So join up. All you have to do is get into the voice chat. Well, of course, read the book first. Then jump into the voice chat at 10 p.m. EDT next Wednesday, which is September 2nd. And we'll just have a very laid-back discussion about it. Wait, is it September 2nd? Let me check again. Yes, it is. Okay.
It is.
And it'll be very laid back. You don't even have to talk if you don't want to. So come join us.
And I guess if you're not sure how these goes, you don't have to read the book. You can just come in and listen and hear what it's all about.
If you
hopefully will inspire you. You won't have a lot to say, but it's still a fun time.
Yeah.
All right. And I just can't believe he bought all of Garzy's Wing. Like, why? Why would you buy?
It's only 3 episodes, and essentially we talked about how no matter how many times you've seen it, it's never not funny, and there's always more lines to pick up. Help! I'm stuck in the land of 12th to 13th century peasants.
I mean, but you lied to him. It's terrible. So.
No, it's amazing.
No,
you just need to have friends to watch it with. That's the kicker.
There's never been a more appropriate time to play this drop.
No way!
Poor Kazuo. Anyway, so the listener's choice poll for 2020 summer is up. You can find it on our social media, and I also posted a link into the Twitch, so go vote for summer 2020 listener's choice. That'll probably stay up for about a week. There really isn't a whole lot to choose from. I mean, there was only like 20 shows from summer, and we passed 8 of them, so there's really only a few left. And of course, Otanjobi Omedetou gozaimasu. Mandi's birthday was I believe yesterday, so happy birthday to Mandi. So
thank you. I'm 22 again.
Holy shit, I am old.
That's what they said in Discord.
that's funny.
They thought I was 22. I was like, yes, I am 22.
And for this episode, guys, we're going to be doing a bring your own topic. So for the topic today, we're each going to bring something unique to the table, something to discuss, something to do. Maybe it'll be an activity, maybe it'll be a debate, maybe it'll just be a topic, like who the hell knows, but we're going to have some fun. And of course, then...
Now, Big O, it's showtime!
As Steve Bloom deafens all of us, we're going to do a review on the Big O, which is the retro review that was selected by Mason. So we're going to be doing that later on. But now that we've gotten all that out of the way, let's start the podcast with some big news.
大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
For big news of the week, there is an online petition that is demanding that Weekly Shonen Jump put content warnings on their manga for sexual violence. And so on change.org petition, it is titled, "We Boys Are Not Wolves. Shonen Jump should distinguish between eroticism and sexual violence," concluded on Friday after collecting over 4,000 online signatures in just over a week. Weekly Shonen Jump one thing that they would like, it says Weekly Shonen Jump should include content warnings or explanatory notes and panels containing sexual violence. He also demanded, the person who put this together, demanded for Jump to survey its readers about their level of sexual education in order to create expressions of sexuality that can be properly grasped by the audience. And their campaign organizer shared his own views on Weekly Shonen Jump as a Weekly Shonen Jump reader. And he said he often reads manga with sexual content when he was he often read manga with sexual content when he was in elementary school. And since talking to others who aren't as comfortable with that sexual content, he came to realize that not everyone is... Wait, this is worded weird. This is worded kind of weird. Okay. Since talking to others who are not comfortable with the sexual content, he came to realize that not everybody is comfortable with that type of content. There we go. Personally speaking, this person said, "I feel uncomfortable when I look at Jump these days and how it gleefully sells women's bodies as if they are livestock. Perhaps out of a belief that they won't be criticized if it's between girls, there are more manga these days which show girls sexually harassing other girls." Very true. We see that anime all the time. But they said, "I want Jump's editors to realize that regardless of who is doing it, sexual acts performed without consent of both parties is sexual violence that hurts people." And he goes on and says he does argue that Jump manga these days conditions its readers to perceive female bodies as erotic. And he argues that many of the female characters who are sexualized in manga are younger than high school age and therefore are considered minors. So, I mean, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with having content warnings. Especially when Shonen Jump is targeted at a younger audience who, I don't know. I think in any case, content warnings is not a bad thing, because it doesn't look like he's saying you need to just completely get rid of everything that has existed in the past. It just sounds like he wants content warnings put on the manga so that people who maybe are too young to know the difference between, fictional content and reality could probably be able to avoid that stuff. I mean, it's what it looks like to me.
Pretty much everything else on planet Earth has a rating on it. Like, games have ratings, movies have ratings, TV shows have ratings. Like, I don't know, fucking everything has a rating. So, like, I don't know why. Like, I don't read Shonen Jump, I don't even read manga, really. I just watch anime. But I know that anime has ratings, and so if you open up Shonen Jump, I don't really see the difference in having like a rating at the front of the art of the front of the whatever it is.
I don't know if it does.
Well,
I've never read the actual magazine, but I do read it on the app, so I don't know.
I have the actual magazine. I would show it, but it's at my other location. But I haven't seen any sort of ads anywhere saying like this chapter from this work is PG-13 equivalent, or this one is PG, or there's nothing on the front. So it's kind of just assumed that if you're picking up, you're in for what's ever contained. And I think the comment about people at conditioning readers is pretty accurate, considering a lot of the readers are younger, and that's no, they're not going there to get their view of the world, but it's getting fed to them in that way. So I think what you give people, especially children at a younger age, is pretty vital to their upbringing and development.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's a very large difference between being an adult and knowing that what you're reading is fictional, and you can choose for yourself whether or not you hate or like it. You know that it's not that's not how the real world works. But especially when you're a younger kid and you might be like, oh, it's funny to grab a woman's, private parts. Ha ha ha. That's not cool. Probably don't teach that to kids.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like fine. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with having a rating like on the front of Shonen Jump that says, 16 and 13, like 13 plus or whatever, or putting the ratings on individual stories in the magazine. Like, oh, this one's 17 plus, or this one's youth, or whatever the fuck whatever rating system you want to come up with. But like, this seems a little late. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, like, I'm
gonna assume it came up because of the recent talks of what's going on with Shonen Jump authors, for sure.
Probably, but like, I mean, there is generally you'd have to go back pretty damn far in anime or manga or whatever to find a time when anime wasn't chock full of this. So like, you're talking about 30 to 40 years of like butt slap jokes and Handmaid May and Love Hina and fucking Goku slapping Bulma's crotch area and Master Roshi nosebleeds. Like, I don't know. I just like, we're a little late to the boat, and I don't know. My only concern is that if we get a little too gung ho with this, then I just hope it doesn't start to like stifle the way that people create manga, and that people don't get turned off of even creating things. Like, I don't know. I feel like you can't really force manga creators to do a certain thing, otherwise they're just going to get pissed off and not want to do it. And so as long as it's just like ratings, if we start like boycotting manga and stuff like that because Miroku grabs Songo's ass, like, I don't know. I'm not sure how. Like, I'm fine with ratings, but if people start getting outraged and start saying, oh well, fuck Inuyasha because Miroku grabs someone's butt, like, I don't know.
That is kind of bullshit, though. Manga probably shouldn't rely on jokes like that because it's not funny.
It probably shouldn't. Well, I mean, someone's buying it. I mean,
I still don't like Concho. That scares me, where they put the fingers up the butt. Like, I know it's a joke and like not in the same vein, but still, like,
I have been conchoed, so in public, so
yeah, it's just like anything else. It is a form of
there's nothing like
assault, and let's cut all that out, please.
Well,
Thank you.
I think I was conchoed by like a 5-year-old, so I don't know. I guess the point is that like, putting a rating on something, in my opinion, is that putting a rating on something is enough. If someone opens up a manga and it says rated 16 plus for sexual humor or something, and they read it anyway and are pissed off, like, that's your fault. Like, it says 16 plus sexual humor. Like, I don't want to see you, writing hate mail or doing change.org petitions because you got mad about something that you read after you were warned. So, and I don't know. If Shonen Jump has been thriving for this long off of that kind of content, like, it is selling. Like it's like, I always get frustrated when like I see a video game that I thought was really bad selling like 10 million copies. Like, I was talking about, like, I thought Final Fantasy 15 was a horrible game. I hated it. It sold like 14 million copies. So like, you were rewarded for the way that you made Final Fantasy 15. So I 100% fully expect that Final Fantasy 16 is going to be just the same way. It's going to be the exact same game, same content, same flow, and I'm not going to like it. So if you put out a manga and it's got shit in it that makes people uncomfortable, but it sells 40 million copies, the next guy is just going to do the same thing. And I feel like this has happened long enough that it's kind of proven out that like, manga with like butt slapping jokes and conchos in it are selling copies. So I don't know. I
think that's what he's arguing against. I don't think he's arguing that they're not selling, just that we probably shouldn't be selling those to kids, because especially look with some of the authors these days who are the kind of shit that they're getting into. It's a little concerning.
And I'm going to be honest, like I said, I don't read Shonen Jump, so I don't even know what this guy's referencing. Like, the only thing I know is like butt slap jokes and Goku like wondering why Bulma doesn't have a penis and all this, and you know that's like a really old reference, but like the article that I read made this sound like super seedy, like Shonen Jump has rape scenes in it and stuff like that. I don't read Shonen Jump, so like I'm clearly not going to say rape scenes are fine ever because it's ridiculous. Like I don't know why that's in Shonen Jump magazine that's meant for teenagers, but
butt slaps and groping are still sexual violence, and that's not cool.
But if you put a rating on the front that says this has butt slaps in it, and they read it anyway,
yeah,
I mean that's all he wants, I think.
But I think he's concerned with selling this to kids because we're probably not teaching them the right thing.
Well, and first of all, I thought that Shonen was way for younger audiences than it is. Like Shonen's like I looked it up. It's like all the way until 18 is considered Shonen, and I was like, why is there anything sexual in like stories meant for what I thought was like 9 to 14, but like that's not. There's
a large gap, yeah.
That's not even like the accurate thing, you know. I don't know. I guess I don't really know where I'm going with this. I guess I'm fine with ratings and warning people about the content and stuff, but if we start like wholesale boycotting like half of the manga industry because people don't like half of shonen manga get boycotted because people get mad about, you know, whatever's in them. I don't even read them, so I don't know, but I could just see another wave of manga creators being pissed off. Like before it was like making characters look too young, and you know there's valid arguments against that, but they were all fucking pissed off about that, you know. And so I can just see another wave of people being pissed off about something. Everyone's gonna get pissed off at everything.
I don't think what he said is wrong, though. I think it's good to have concept warnings, and maybe let's try to steer authors away from making those kind of jokes because it's not funny. It's not cool.
And the other thing is that
sexual violence is not a thing to joke about.
Well, I'm all for content warnings. And the other thing though is that like I haven't read the Fire Force manga, but like we were having a conversation about how there's characters in Fire Force that are basically just like sexualized characters, but there's also scenes of people getting like their limbs and torsos blown in half in Fire Force. There was some intense violence in the first 3 episodes of the anime of Fire Force, and it's like if you're gonna like I don't know that we should be feeding 14-year-olds, you know, decapitations either. So where do we stop the conversation? If they can't watch a guy slap a girl's butt, he probably can't watch a guy rip a dude's spinal cord out. So
there's a big difference in what can be accomplished by a child, though. I think they know that they can't rip a guy's spine out by themselves.
Well, maybe, but
they can see where the line easier between the fantasy of superpowers versus I can touch people just like them.
And it's funny because let me tell you, lots of women have horrible history with that, me included. It's especially in high school, and it's always treated as a big joke. Oh, kids, you know, they grow out of it. It's a phase. It's not cool.
Well, anyway, there's all I'd agree. I kind of went to the hyperbolic for the example, but like, you know, little kids can do plenty of damage to other people. You could kick people in the balls, gouge someone in the eyes, et cetera, but we can move on. Do you guys think anything will come of this change.org? I don't think 4,000 signatures isn't really a very big a change.org petition with 4,000 signatures isn't going to move the needle, but I don't know. I don't know if anything will come of this, but clearly Shonen Jump has some issues because of thoughts like this, and also of the actions of manga creators. There's got to be a lot of eyes on Shonen Jump right now. So do you guys expect that Shonen Jump will take any kind of action to change their ways, so to speak? I mean, it seems like they've stepped in it a few times, so to speak, in the last short period.
I don't think anything from like this explicitly they're going to be like, oh, this change.org thing, we will change our ways. But I think nonetheless we need to continue to have the conversation to expect better.
For sure.
And I'm not saying, we need to heavily edit our content and change their creative process, but just develop the community and culture that better allows messages that don't get across that has, you know, these problematic elements. So best we can do is just bring it to people's attention, and hopefully things come of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shall we move on?
Yes, but before you do, I petition that we change the big news of the week drop to the Big O opening, where it says big news, bump, 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 big news,
oh my
big
God.
news, bump, 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 bump. Yeah, sorry,
that
I've been
will-
watching way too much
that's-
Big O in the past week.
It's a pretty clever idea. We'll have to see if that would. It should be possible.
You can't change the classics. Anyway.
Oh well,
we
you
can
do.
move on.
All right.
Howdy, partner. I seen you riding in on that dusty trail. Welcome to the good, the bad, and the moe.
Welcome back. For the good this week, the Ghibli Museum will be reopening in September.
Yay.
The museum dedicated to the anime of Studio Ghibli will allow the general purchase of tickets beginning August 25th, with a planned grand reopening in September. The museum closed February 25th to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in collaboration with all of Mitaka City in which it is located, and I'm glad to see them get back up on their feet. We all went there as part of the AAA Japan trip back in the day. I went again a year later, and it's a cute little place, and it's a bunch of fun. Just glad to see it back. I don't know if we didn't comments. For the
Yeah.
bad.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of surprised that it's opening, considering Japan is like on full lockdown still. So, I mean, September is not exactly far from now. It's like next week. So, I don't know. I mean, nobody can travel to Japan right now, and as far as I know, a lot of stuff is closed. So, I don't know. Maybe Mitaka isn't really heavily impacted, but people travel to the Ghibli Museum from all over Japan, so I'm kind of shocked actually that this is opening already. But then again, Miyazaki's kind of, older, and I don't know, maybe not doesn't care. I just don't know. But
Honestly, though, like, it's not the easiest thing to. You can't just waltz into this museum. You can't walk there, buy tickets, and just go in. Like,
Right.
it's pretty heavily regulated. And I think of all the places, like, they could do a pretty good job of like limiting the amount of people in, limiting the flow throughout the place. It's not very large. Like, I think they could. I wouldn't go, and I don't know if it's the safest thing, but I'm sure they could do a pretty good job of guiding people through the flow without too much spread of disease.
I think there were some areas that were a little bit more packed. I'm trying to think. I remember the area where you got to see like the kind of mock-up station of like where Miyazaki kind of worked.
Yeah, the workstation
remember
with the
that?
desks. Yeah.
I remember that area being kind of densely packed with stuff, but
they
for the
could
most part,
flow people through that pretty
a
well.
lot of the areas though had a lot of big space from what I remember. So I think that they could do kind of like a what like grocery stores are doing now with like the one lane.
One-way aisles, just separate people every 6 feet and just like wait a bit of time before the group in front of you goes. Like, I think they could police it pretty well. So if you're in Japan right now, you have that option. For the rest of us, we'll have to wait a little bit longer before we can go back. For the bad, a recent string of assaults and arrests in Japan over Pokemon Go. Recently, Japan has seen at least 2 recent cases of assault involving the game. One was in Hokkaido, where police arrested a 56-year-old man who assaulted another guy in a fight over an in-game gym battle in early August.
I think he was over 52. Just
We had an old man
old
battle.
guys fighting.
Some guy got his gym taken over, and the other guy's like, I can't fight him in game. His Pokemon are too strong. I have to do the next best thing.
He pulled a Team Rocket.
Blasting off again. The other one was with a 35-year-old man in Sapporo, and I think this one is the more wild situation. He spotted a car on the side of the road that was parked sloppily in reverse, and when he looked inside, he saw a man playing Pokemon Go, and it annoyed him so much to see someone playing the game in such a state of a terrible park job that he kicked the car, chased the car's owner outside the vehicle, and hit him in the face twice before being restrained by police, which that's
it's not funny,
commitment.
but it's also funny. Like, he wasn't even upset. Like, he was just upset that he parked so poorly.
Maybe
so
he was giving a
dumb.
bad name to Pokemon Go players, or maybe he saw like a Team Instinct sticker and was like, "This guy's the enemy." I'm Team Mystic.
I think he hates Pokemon Go. He's super grumpy about it.
It's possible. Well, he's playing Pokemon Go. Both were playing
Was
Pokemon
he?
Go.
I thought he
Yeah.
wasn't playing. I thought he was just walking.
I think he was walking, playing Pokemon Go when he saw this guy.
listen,
Oh.
I fully understand, and I sympathize with the guy because as a person who lived in Japan, they back into every parking spot everywhere, and it is so fucking aggravating when you're like just trying to drive through a damn lane at the grocery store to like exit, and there's like 4 cars backing into their parking spots just agonizingly slowly, and you're just like, fucking move, pull in front wise. You can absolutely identify the people that are foreigners based on how they park. If they park front ways, they're foreign every time. So if I had $1 for every time I was pissed off by someone parking backwards, whether they're doing a good job of it or not, I would be so freaking rich. So PSA, don't back into your parking spots, please.
Speaking of backing up really quick, Peter Wright in the chat asked if the Studio Ghibli Museum has an exhibit with how many Cherry brand cigarettes Miyazaki
Basically
has smoked.
does.
And I know they haven't, but do you remember at his workstation if they
Yes.
had
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cigarettes there?
They do.
They
They
did.
sure did. So
A shitload
at
of them.
least one. So there you go. And finally, for the Moe this week, online video experiences blow up amidst quarantine. First case, we have a haunted house based in Tokyo, where they offer online horror experiences through Skype, Zoom, and Vimeo starting
It's
up in
super
August.
cool.
So yeah, you contact these people, and this has this like occult fanfic like play out where the guy opens a Zoom call with the lecture, and there's a whole, I don't know, spooky story. I don't know if you read more into it, Mandy, if you knew more details.
Yeah, it's set up like you are kind of like part of an occult club, and the person who's guiding you is like showing you some new stuff that he found, and then some creepy stuff happens around him, and I think he carries like the camera through, and there's lots of actors and ghosts and stuff, and it looks really cool. I want to do it. I wish that they would let us do it. Would it be cool if we did it as a podcast? They
I
probably
would
wouldn't
think
let us,
so.
though.
I mean, if it's
I don't think they
it's
let
online.
foreigners do it.
Why
It's-
not?
I don't know.
We'll
We
just
don't have subtitles.
We don't need them.
I don't think we can talk to him.
Horror doesn't need to be translated.
He's just gonna talk to us. I'll be like,
Yep, and we'll just be like, pretend to be surprised.
because I don't know if you have to be part of it. Like, I don't know if you have to communicate with them. I don't know.
I
I
think
think
it'd
they
be
were saying it's interactive stories where you kind of like communicate with the people as it goes
I
on.
wish we could. Let's make our own.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
fun as hell to be able to participate. Like, think
Yeah.
about it. Think about it. Like, would you ordinarily be able to do a Japanese haunted house or whatever from America? No. But could you?
Can,
I don't
some,
think so.
But
can
could
somebody translate for us?
you? Yeah.
Can we get Yuria?
You could
Our
probably-
voice actress?
You could probably pay someone like that to just like get on the Zoom call with you for like half an hour and pay them like pay them like
yes.
$15. But here's $15. Translate this friggin' thing for me, and they probably do it. Plus, they get to experience the haunted house.
Exactly.
Why the fuck
Oh,
not?
we should definitely do it.
It is only like $17. That was
That's not
it.
bad. That's
I
not
thought,
bad.
yeah, it's not bad for like them to do a whole session for just like 4, maybe 5 people. I was like, God, I was expecting that to be far more expensive, but each person it's only like $17.
Yeah. Wow.
Not bad. That reminded me of a link that Lorimer in our Discord posted of a drive-in haunted house. I don't know if you guys saw this, but you take your car and you park it in this like garage, and they close the back, and then they simulate a zombie like outbreak, and
Yeah.
like you get like a pair of Bluetooth speakers in the car, and these ghosts like for 17 minutes just come with like blood and everything and like attack your car and like maul it and everything. And
My car, or do we get to be in someone else's
so
car?
so you can use your own car for $75.
No.
But since most people in Tokyo don't have a car, that you
That's
pay
true.
$85 and they give you a car. And it's funny, the article I posted has a picture of like a person like dressed up as like a ghoul, like wiping the car down because they have to clean it once they're done. And that's part of the service.
Nope. Y'all ain't jumping on my car.
I don't know.
I just got it.
It's brand new. Sam, watch the paint and don't scuff it.
Exactly.
That's the scary part about it.
That
watching
is
your
the
car get
scariest
ruined.
part. Someone jumps on your car, like, no.
Exactly. Another video service to get back on track is a cheerleading video service, where once again, also through like Skype or Zoom or Vimeo, these are actual cheerleaders with like the pom poms and everything, and they will cheer you up to raise your spirits during the shutdown. And this is intended for a variety of demographics to shake off,
Mature audiences.
the funk. Exactly. So I think I could pass on this one. I think I'd be more interested in the horror phone call or whatever it is.
I'm posting a link into the Twitch. It's cringy. Like watching this guy. He's like watching these girls dance around. And he's like clapping with them, like I'm so excited, blah.
It's like a
dude,
maid
please,
cafe
killing me.
experience, but virtual.
Oh yeah, that is what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I want to watch the ghost story.
we could do it. We could probably do it.
It's
So,
funny in the video. Once the girls like start performing, the girl that's like sitting with him, there's a girl sitting with the guy who's watching, and once they start, like she takes off and start.
Yeah, she nopes out of there real quick.
Yeah, she nopes out. Yeah. So. All right, COVID. It's driving us to do interesting things. I don't know what the fuck. Why would you pay someone to do a cheerleading routine when you could just Google cheerleading routines or something and like watch them for free? That's what I don't get about the world. It's like people pay for so much shit that you can just find online for free, like legally. Like, why pay $30 to have some cheerleaders do some dumb shit on camera for you when you could just go on YouTube and watch a cheerleading competition or something? There's probably a billion videos. Don't know. But I also see this.
Maybe they cheer with like your name in the chant and you feel personally. I don't know.
Maybe,
but
but I can also see this as being like, well, the girls don't look that young, so there's always that. But it's kind of a slippery slope. Some weird things could go on, but whatever. Anyway, that was fun. I can't wait for coronavirus to be over. Anything else, guys?
Nah, I think that was it.
日本のいいとこ見てみよう It's time to live big in Japan.
I keep getting asked this question in like private DMs on Twitter and on our Discord. People always asking like about finding jobs in Japan. They want to know what they should do, what's good, what's not good, and I figured I've done this before a while ago, but I might as well just do it again just so that people have the info. It's not a quit bothering me type of thing. It's just like it's clear that people want information. But if you're going to live in Japan and work as a foreigner, you pretty much are going to end up teaching English. I mean, that's just the way it is. You might be able to, if you're like an engineer or a mathematician or something, you might be able to find a job at a company that doesn't really need you to speak English. You just need to be able to do like technical skills, like coding or something. But for the most part, that's not going to be the case, and you're probably going to have a hell of a time finding a job that's high paying like that from across the pond, so to speak. So you're much better off just trying to find a teaching job. Gaijinpot.com is a pretty easy way to get this done. I have never really heard of a person that couldn't find an English teaching job in Japan. The turnover rate is insane. They are always hiring people in like massive armies because people go to Japan to teach and they're not there for a career. They're there for like a year and then they peace out, and then they just they're like replacing the whole workforce like every single 1 to 2 years. So if you go to gaijinpot.com, there's like a drop down that has all of the jobs that are on there by category. And it's pretty funny. If you click the drop down on the website and under the jobs under the jobs section, it has industries, and it's like advertising, 2 posts, entertainment, 1 post, automotive, 6 posts, chemical, 1 post, English, 170, or education and teaching, 170 posts. There are probably, just eyeballing, out of the 30 or 40 categories, there's about 4 times as many in teaching than in every single other thing combined. That's all they're hiring for. So you can probably find a job with Interac or maybe Aeon or Jet, but I don't think Jet posts on Gaijinpot. Interac requires you to do training, so you'll have like a 1 or 2 week training program someplace. The Jet program, I don't even know if this still exists anymore because it was getting its ass whooped by Interac last time I checked. But if it does exist, it'll probably pay more. But it's going to be highly competitive. You're probably going to have to go travel to the closest interview center. For me, before I drove from Orlando to Miami, got a hotel, and then the interview was a panel style. So they just like 5 people just like grill you with questions. It's pretty intimidating by most interview standards. And otherwise, like you're gonna interview on Skype, you could just be like butt naked, pretty much. Just put like a sport coat on, and you're good. The jobs pay. I checked some of these on Gaijin Pot. They don't really have much inflation in Japan, so these jobs never seem to increase in pay. But they're paying between like 200,000 and 270,000 yen per month, which is between $1,900 and $2,500 a month. That's before taxes. And which is pre-tax 21 to 30,000 a year. So, I mean, most people, $21,000 is by most jobs. It's a pretty small amount of money. Like if you're from the United States in terms of like average income for the country. So it's not really something I would recommend you do for more than like a year or two just to have the experience. For me, I stopped teaching English in Japan because the financial cost of doing it was just like it was like astronomical. I was like, this is insane. Like, you know, it's like you start adding up like 401k. You're not gonna get shit for benefits. So it's like 401k and your salary and all this, and it's just like crazy how much money you forego by doing this. I still recommend people do it if you want to do it, maybe for just a year or two. But when you go over there, as far as setup is concerned, like most places are going to get you set up with what you need. Like they'll find an apartment for you. If you need a car, they'll probably help you get a car. Interact will, et cetera, et cetera. You don't always have control over where you work though, so just keep that in mind. So that's about it. I mean, it's really not that hard. You know, you just need to like clean up your resume, and just you don't even need to have like a teaching degree. Like some people go, oh, you got to have like what is it? English as a second language, so ESL. Like some people have like ESL training. They don't need you to speak Japanese. They don't even want you to. So you don't need to speak Japanese. You don't need to be trained in English as a second language. All you need to do is speak English, pretty much. And you don't even have to be from the States or from like England or something. There were people. I had coworkers that where English wasn't even their first language. They could still speak it, and they were hired. So really not that hard to do. So if you want to go teach English in Japan, definitely recommend it for you guys. And most of the conversations that we have in this particular podcast segment are kind of irrelevant if you're not in Japan, and this is the easiest way to get there. I should also note that if you go to Japan and your job is just freaking horrible, like the first job I had in Japan was one-on-one English teaching in like small classroom setting, and the working conditions were just horrendous. Like it's borderline abuse. Like I don't even know that they'd be able to do this shit in the States. I don't think they'd get away with it. But the fact of the matter is that if you don't think if you're not enjoying your job, you can just peace out in like a blink of an eye. Like the contracts are flimsy, and once you're in Japan, like if you thought getting a job teaching English in Japan from like America was easy, just wait until you're like right down the fucking street from these people. I was able to find. I put in like 2 applications and had another job in like a week. I don't even know if they interviewed me. It was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. It was easier than like going on Amazon and buying Clorox wipes right now. Like I'd have an easier time finding a job in Japan teaching English while already in Japan than I would going on Amazon right now at this exact moment and buying Clorox wipes. So if you're in Japan and you hate your job, just peace out. You'll find another job in like a minute. So it's pretty easy to do. So it's the whole. And if you have any other questions, contact me on Discord or on Twitter or something. I'm happy to help. This is a pretty broad topic, and I covered maybe a third of what you might need to know here. But having done it, happy to help with anybody who's trying to get to Japan. So that's living big in Japan, people. It's how you do it.
Very nice. Well, thank you for sharing.
It's how you get your unlimited ramen. It's how you get your Kokuichi Bon curry.
Unlimited? I don't know.
It's so cheap there.
You gotta pay for that.
It's so cheap though. God, ramen in Japan, ramen in the States is such a racket. Like you'll pay like $20, and it's not even going to be that good. And then like you could just go to any random fucking hole in the wall in Japan, and not only will it be better, but it'll cost like $6. It's just wild. So. That's what I mean.
You're not wrong.
I'm
You're not wrong, my friend.
Not wrong.
Well, with that, We'll move on to trivia. First, we have the website one where you can go to aaapodcast.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, and we have a picture from an anime that's one of Caroline's favorite. If you know what it is, you put it in, and you can win a fabulous prize. The winner for this last week was Frosty Moon, so congrats to you. And I think we'll have one more before the end of the month, so if you want to win the grand prize, get your submissions in now. We also have an in-show weekly trivia question, which we will answer after the news break, and that is, if you want to stay in Roger Smith's house from the Big O, what rule do you have to follow about your attire? So, stumbled a bit on that one, but we'll see you in just a bit.
MegaDEUCE! Hey everybody, Mitsuki is here, and I'm bringing you your first anime news break, and we're going to lead off with some news relating to Kiss Anime's closure. Looks like there have been quite a lot of surveys done collecting the attitudes of people from across the world, and it seems like fans of anime and manga from India and Southeast Asia are more upset about the closure compared to other parts of the world. 64% of respondents in India said they were extremely or just sad about the closure of the website, compared to 34% in the United States. 7.6% of respondents in India said that they were happy about the closure, compared to 24% in the United States, indicating that the U.S. seems to be more anti-piracy than other parts of the world. In Malaysia, 67% said that they were extremely angry about the closure, 7% happy. The Philippines, 57% said that they were angry, compared to 6% that were happy. Notably, U.S. respondents had a higher rate of ambivalence. 41% just simply don't really care one way or the other, compared to lower percentages elsewhere. So, in summary, it looks like the United States is less keen on piracy than other parts of the world. I don't know why that is. I suspect maybe because anime is more available in the U.S., but I am not entirely sure about that. Next up, some manga creators are weighing in on the cancellation of the Act Age manga by Shonen Jump. The We Never Learn manga creator Taishi Tsutsui briefly commented about this in the past week, stated in a now deleted tweet, "In the case of Act Age, when it comes to the victims of Usazaki Sensei, and considering the feelings of the editorial department and those involved in the stage play, words cannot express the regrets, resentment, and sadness I feel as a fan. It makes me keenly realize how necessary it is to keep in mind how the important people around you feel at all times," mostly citing the selfishness of acting out alone, and also just expressing regret about the whole events in general. Of course, this is regarding the Shonen Jump cancellation of Act Age that we discussed last week on the podcast. If you want to hear more about that, you can go back and listen to last week's episode. Next up, Shonen Jump, again in the news. The Tsugi Nikuru Manga Awards have been announced, the quote-unquote up-and-coming manga awards. Yoshifumi Tozuka's Undead Unluck has won the up-and-coming manga awards. The Shonen Jump series is licensed by Viz Media, and it's available in digital print and also physical. If you're going to get that and read it, it's probably a pretty good pick considering the award. The story follows Fuuko Izumo, known as the woman cursed with unluck. Fuuko brings misfortune to anyone who touches her, and the scale is proportional to how long they had physical contact. She's saved by Andy, a man who, quote, cannot die. He's undead. He hopes to figure out a way to use Fuuko's misfortune to finally bring him death. So that's a very interesting sort of plot synopsis if you're a fan of that. It's good that it won the award. It probably will make it more popular and maybe get an anime adaptation here coming up. Next up is The Order of Rabbit. Anime Season 3 is getting released on October 10th. If you're a fan of that, it's going to be coming out in Japan on October 10th around 9:30 p.m. on ATX channel. The first season of Is the Order of Rabbit premiered in April of 2014, and the second season came out just after that in October of 2015. So it has been a while since we had a season of Is the Order of Rabbit, but if you're a fan of that, you'll be able to catch it here coming up pretty soon. Hiroyuki Hashimoto is returning to direct the new season at Encourage Films, and also the scriptwriter is back as well, and the character designer and most of the original cast are coming back to reprise their roles. This was Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. And now, as always, it's time to get back to the podcast.
My friends are annoyed because they think I have forgotten their actual names. I just call them my senpais and kohais now.
I threw a tennis ball at my cat. I was so caught up in the moment and thought maybe I could capture her, and then we could go on adventures together.
I purchased a motorcycle just so I could pretend I was Onizuka.
I answered the phone with Moshi Moshi.
My poor cat.
I may actually have a problem.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time.
Hello, I'm Mandi from the Anime Addicts Anonymous. Do any of these symptoms sound familiar to you? Do you have 8,572 waifus? Do you struggle with having the theme song to Attack on Titan stuck in your head, even though Jaeger is the only word you know? Then you may be experiencing anime addiction. If you are experiencing anime addiction, then you should visit our website, aaapodcast.com. At Anime Addicts Anonymous, we have dedicated ourselves to making your anime addiction worse. Worse! Yes, worse. Because the real world just plain sucks. So many resources await you. For just $5 a month, you will have unlimited access to our Hobby Addicts episodes. You will also have access to our hentai episodes, where you can watch a hentai along with us and hear our commentary. Give our after party episodes a listen, where you can hear us struggle to talk about our boring lives outside of anime. That $5 will go to helping us spread anime addiction throughout the world. Yes, it is time for you to make your anime addiction worse.
My name is Brett Weaver, voice of Toji Suzahara, from Evangelion. I'm a total anime addict.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. If you want to stay in Roger Smith's house, what rule has to be true about your attire? And he says, if you stay in my house, then you wear black.
I realized I made a mistake the second I read that question, because I'm wearing like a yellow shirt with some gray sleeves, and I look at my co-host. What's Mitsugi wearing? He's rocking the black. What's Mandi
baby.
wearing? She's rocking the black. I'm the only
Not
one.
black, mine's purple.
Okay, fair enough. We're both not
Right,
on.
purple.
I guess I'm the only
like
one
a
that gets
gray
to hang
Like a
out.
dark. I guess Mitsugi is the only one getting in.
No,
Also, we better
actually
have Steve Bloom as the drop out of the second news break.
That's actually not true, because also women get to drive Roger Smith's house. So it's only men not wearing black that definitely don't get in. So Mason,
Well,
you're
wasn't gonna
fucking out of here,
spoil-
brother.
I wasn't going to spoil the answer.
The second
The
question.
question.
Was that the second question?
You made it.
Oh well. So it's an easy question. It'll be fine.
No one pays attention to me.
Maybe
anyway.
they'll forget between now
Exactly.
and
Maybe.
We just got to stall for time. Anyway, how are we going to do that?
I guess with my manga minute. Oh, is that really what my manga minute is? It's just wasting time.
Stall.
No, it's predicting the future, Mandi. We all know this.
And now, let's take a minute for the Manga Minute with Mandi.
This is Mandy's Manga Minute, where I take a minute, tell you about a manga, and help you find something new to read. And this one is called Satoko and Nada. Satoko, who is Japanese, has a new roommate in America, a Saudi Arabian woman named Nada. They might have different customs, but through mutual respect and the hilarious adventures of their daily life, Satoko and Nada prove that friendship knows no borders. Also, if I'm mispronouncing any name, please let me know. I mess up pronunciations all the time. But Satoko and Nada is a 4-coma comedy manga written and illustrated by Yuppei Chika. She also had help with a script advisor named Marie Nishimori. It's a finished series with 4 volumes total. And we currently have 3 volumes available in English, but the 4th volume is available for pre-order. So each page of this manga is a separate event in the daily lives of Satoko and Nada. And it's about, Nada just came to the United States from Saudi Arabia to attend university with the hopes of becoming a doctor. And Satoko also came to the US from Japan for university and is looking for a place to stay. And Nada was having difficulty finding a roommate, and so quickly the two came together. And despite them having vastly different backgrounds, Satoko and Nada learn about each other's cultures, their beliefs, and how to navigate America while always being open-minded. And they accept each other's differences and learn how they can work around them together. And they have a genuine desire to learn, and I absolutely love that about this manga. If there is an aspect of daily life that one of the other girls does not understand, the other one is very happy to explain it with patience and a great sense of humor as well. The art is very simplistic. It's more like sketches. I'll show it to you. It's very, very simple. And each page is, like a typical 4 its own little event. And but throughout this whole manga, there's so much to learn. It has fantastic friendship, cute comedic moments, and a strong desire to learn about other cultures. So if any of that sounds really appealing to you, then I do highly recommend it. It is mostly comedy, but there is a little bit of an educational side to it as well. It's kind of cool.
I just downed a third of a tray of Pizza Hut Cinesticks, and I have no regrets. I want you guys to know that. And I'm also going to post an image of the manga here for people to look at. Okay. There we go.
Cool.
Oh my god. I can tell you what, Pizza Hut, their dinner box, not bad. Would I recommend it? But the Pizza Hut cheese sticks, they can't come close to the Domino's cheese sticks. Like, they are not even in the same ballpark. They're not in the same universe. See, like, the Domino's cheese sticks, they're coming from, like, some far-off alien universe where, like, food just tastes better. And then the regular Pizza Hut cheese sticks, they're from, like, they're on, like, Mars or something. Like, they're out of this world, but they're not, like, out of this galaxy. You know what I'm saying? I love it.
Sounds like they should change their name from Pizza Hut to the Cinestick Shack.
Well, Pizza Hut's also not doing too well. They just closed a ton of their stores. So, anyway. Well, we have a new segment here, Mason. Are you ready? We have no drop for it, so...
Oh, am I?
We have no drop.
That's okay.
But
WIP.
hopefully there will be a drop soon. So I'm waiting on something from another person. It's not my fault.
No, it's fine. I didn't give you much of a notice, but yeah. So I want to start up a new segment, named TBD, but essentially it's gonna be a little movie talk. So in my mind, so often on this podcast and others, we bring up movies all the time, like Ghibli, Satoshi Kon stuff, Hosada stuff, Shinkai films, and those are all good movies and they're all worth checking out. And I feel like that's what we direct a lot of new watchers to, and it comes up a lot in conversations, but there's a whole world, a whole bunch of gems out there that I just don't hear getting talked about. And I feel like that's kind of part of our job, is to kind of help spread what you might call these hipster, underground, Mason-centric films out for people to give them a shot. And it's also going to give me a chance to talk about maybe new films, cough, cough, Made in Abyss, cough, cough, Inuo, cough, cough, Angaku, just future new movies that come out. So the first one I want to talk about is called The Case of Hannah and Alice. This is an hour and 38-minute movie that came out in 2015, and you can watch it over on Amazon Prime. So this is written, directed, and composed by Shunji Iwai, who has done a ton of stuff outside the anime industry, and it's done by studio Steve and Steven.
Steve and Steven?
Steve and
Steve and
Steven.
apostrophe
Steven.
Got it.
And this is a story of very realistic isolation and a sense of unease felt by a new transfer student named Tetsuko Arusagawa. And her return to the hobby of dance kind of provides her a safe haven, gives her a chance to make friends and learn about the mysterious disappearance of a student that once occupied the now empty desk in her new classroom. This student is said to be the victim of perhaps a murder or perhaps a self-suicide, and the curiosity that compels Arisugawa to look at the supernatural legends that her classmates are telling her about leads to her finding an unlikely compatriot to investigate the truth behind the missing person. And this is a fantastic movie. It's one of those movies that is, plot-wise, has very little going on, but has this fantastic atmosphere and depth comes from all these small moments throughout that builds up the characters and the mood. And this is a very decidedly un-anime film. It's kind of a prequel to a live-action film, and they have a lot of the same staff working on this, and this lends the film a sense of freshness, and it does not feel like almost anything else I've seen in the anime medium. The genre is constantly shifting, like it's like a color spectrum. One minute you think it's red, you think it's a drama, then it becomes yellow like a mystery, then it's orange like a slice of life. And it's such a cool film, and it's heavily rotoscoped, and while it might be rough to look at first, it actually pays off really well with like highly detailed backgrounds, and like the way ballet sequences are shown, or like the way characters move through environments through like running, is super cool. So I would recommend this movie for people who like Flowers of Evil for the sense of like unease or like rotoscoped appearance, or like Liz and the Blue Blurred. I can't even talk.
The Blue Bird?
Liz and the Blue Bird.
Sonic?
For the relationship between two high school students. I wouldn't recommend this for like families to watch, but it's more for like people who want to discuss anime on like forums or stuff. It's a good like breeding ground for a bunch of like character
Take that,
studies.
families, get wrecked.
There's no English dub option, which makes it a little bit more difficult to more easily lay back and watch it. But honestly, I think this is an absolute gem of a movie. I'd probably give it 3.25 thumbs up. So, most of the way to a full thumbs up, and it's definitely interesting. And if you can handle a slow burn, it's definitely worth your time. And that's the case of Hannah and Alice.
Constantly changing genres and art styles. This sounds like Gintama.
It's wild.
It is Gintama.
Pull off the mask. It's Gintama.
So, check it out. It's
sounds cool.
It's worth your time. And with that, we can go to the main topic, which is Bring Your Own Topic, where we've all assembled a collection of things to talk about, and we will see what strikes our fancy and go from there. Someone want to lead us off?
Yeah, so I'm just floored by this winter season that's coming up. Really, the fall season is pretty good too, but the winter season is ridiculous. And I don't know if anybody realizes this, but here is just a small... That's insane. Here's a small sample of what's coming in winter 2021. You're basically getting every show that was going to come out in summer. So it's like 2 seasons in one. You're getting Promised Neverland Season 2, Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2, Stone Wars Season 2, The Quintessential Quintuplets Season 2, Re:Zero, the second season, Part 2, The Cells at Work Season 2. This is like the Season 2s. Beastars Season 2, Yudu Camp Season 2, Log Horizon Season 3, Seven Deadly Sins Season 4, Cells at Work Black, No Non Biori Season 3, that new one where there's an isekai where the guy gets turned into a spider, like that one I feel like is going to be popular even though it's a first season. And that's like the whole friggin', like most of the list, like the whole season is just loaded. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, what are we looking forward to the most? And I was trying to decide, so I thought we could talk about it. So this one is your most upcoming anime, and I included like from the next 2 seasons because the fall season is pretty strong as well. So, and if you want to, you can differentiate from those. And I think we should just go round robin here. So I'm going to say number 5 on my list is Cells at Work Black. I'm really excited for Cells at Work Black. I do think that it won't be edgy enough for what I want, because I think it's going to be like all these seedy sort of inappropriate topics, but they're not really going to go far enough with it. Like, I just think that when they start talking about drug use or sex or, STDs or whatever it is, like, I feel like they're going to cover it, but they won't. I feel like it won't be black, Cells at Work Black. Like, it'll be Cells at Work, but like the subjects are just going to be like something they couldn't include in the other seasons. But that's my number 5.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
I
here's the
assume
question.
It's
so.
in the synopsis.
Do you think so? It's going to be like darker and more mature, hence black. Do we think they're going to show it as like a psychopath where it's like dark and mature in that
No.
way, or like they're
Nope.
just going to be Yakuza people riding around, or like the STD gang rolling up on motorcycles?
I think it's just the more embarrassing topics that they didn't show in like the first one. It's like
Gotcha.
first one was like the flu. This one's more like STDs.
I believe
But-
it. We'll see.
I know a lot
No,
of ours are going to probably be repeated because I think we're all looking forward to some of the same things. So my number 5 was Log Horizon season 3. Because like as far as isekai go, I actually really liked Log Horizon. I thought it was pretty good. And yeah, I think Bofuri, well, if you personally consider Bofuri an isekai, I think that was
Uh-oh.
I'm not gonna get in trouble again. Someone got very upset with me. But if you personally consider it an isekai, I think Bofuri really nailed what it feels like to play video games and an MMO. Log Horizon, I think, nailed like what it would be like to be sucked into a video game. There was a lot of stuff in there about like guilds and raids and like NPCs that were really interesting. I feel like a lot of others kind of just gloss over. They kind of like the video game. A lot of isekais people get sucked into feel more like just a fantasy world, if that makes sense. Like everybody's living like a normal world, not like a video game. Am I making sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I think Log Horizon's pretty cool. And it has and man, if it doesn't have the same OP, I'm out. I'm not watching it anymore.
Database.
You have to have database. I'm not watching it without database.
If I got sucked into a game, I'd just pee my pants immediately. I would just.
Yes.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a function in a lot of games.
I'm telling you, I would pee and poop my pants immediately because I would be so scared. Can you imagine? Here's a sword. You don't know how to use it, but go kill that dragon. No, I'm just gonna pee all over myself. That's what's gonna happen. Definitely. Mason?
It's cast P. Attack was ineffective. I didn't put it on my list, but I'm interested in Log Horizon Season 3, like Mandi said, because I watched Season 1 and I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. And then all I heard about Season 2 was like, oh, it was a little lackluster. It didn't have a
Yeah,
great
I
ending.
agree.
And I was like, well, why am I going to watch Season 2 if it doesn't have an ending? And it didn't seem
Yeah.
that great. But if Season 3 can continue the line and make it good, then it gives me a reason to watch Return to the Series, which I thought had a lot of potential. So I'm hoping Season 3 delivers and makes the case to continue watching it.
Here's to the debauchery tea party.
Indeed. My number 5 pick I know almost nothing about. It's called Kamisama ni Natahi, or The Day I Became a God, which comes out in fall. And this is a new original work by PA Works. It's done by a lot of the same team who did like Clannad and Angel Beats. So I'm expecting a lot of melodrama, but I tend to like the look of PA Works shows, and I tend to value original pieces of animation. I think those have more of a chance to be really bad and more of a chance to be really good. So I'm flipping a coin right off the bat and saying that that's my number 5 hype for the fall season.
My number 4 is Promised Neverland Season 2. I was pretty meh on Season 1. Promised Neverland just has, for a show that was a lot of like gamesmanship and tactical thinking and strategy, there was just a little bit too much just outlandish logic leaps and suspension of disbelief to make all of that happen. But I'm still excited to see what happens next in the story. I'd love to see some little kids get eaten by monsters. That would be good, because that's what that story is kind of setting itself up for. So assuming that might happen, we'll see. But when little kids run around in the forest full of monsters, some of them should be eaten. And just kind of curious to see where the story goes next, because they've kind of painted themselves into a hopeless situation, and I want to know what's going to happen. Although I have a feeling that it won't happen in Season 2. It might be like Season 3 or 4. Mandi?
Mine was also Promised Neverland Season 2. I don't know. I have heard great things from people that I trust who love the manga, so I'm excited to continue it. And I really do want to continue the manga, because honestly, I thought my experience with Promised Neverland was better when I read the manga. like they both have different, like both of them were a different experience to me. There are some things in the anime that I thought they did really well, and there are some things that they handled in the manga that I thought was far better, especially concerning the monsters and some of the characters as well. So, but I still do want to continue the anime because some of the cinematography in there is fantastic. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it.
I've only got one word to say about Promise Neverland season 2.
Uh-oh.
Phil.
Yeah,
He's
Phil.
only
Phil.
Phil. He's the only one I care about. He's my boy, and
Same.
excited for that. My number
Phil
4.
dies, we burn
over.
it all down.
We riot. My number 4 is from the winter season, and it's Yuru Camp season 2. This is
the
laid
real
back,
season 2.
The real season 2, not the fake out 3-minute episodes, which actually tied together to make one pretty good long episode. But Yuru Camp is a show I started, and I think I dropped it after the first or second episode. I just really did not like the main character. I think she was a little too zany, a little too out there. I was just like, I'm not going to feel it. And I was inspired to pick it back up, and I've enjoyed it most of the way since. I'm not huge into camping, but it's comfy and it's a fun time, and I like the interplay, and the animation's pretty fantastic. So in the opposite way that I'm excited for the day I became a god because I know nothing about it, I know exactly what I'm getting with this one, and I'm probably not going to be disappointed.
All right, for me, number 3 going on the list here is not that surprising, someone had to include it, was Sport Climbing Girls. I want this to be really good. My expectations are pretty low, to be honest, for the show. I just don't think Japan will be able to resist the school and ecchi tropes. I think you can pretty much book it. I think it's going to be a lot of, I'm in the school and I'm in this club and we need members and la la la, and then like shots of the girls like from underneath where they're in like tight clothing and they're gonna have like their asses all sticking out of their fucking Lululemon pants and shit like that. That's kind of what I expect from Sport Climbing Girls, but God, I really want it to be. I want it to be a more serious sports show. That would be the ideal thing. Like I'd like to see them actually portray the sport that not many people know anything about, but it probably won't happen. But one can hope. So we'll see.
If it's like the first 2 episodes of Hanabado, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Like that quality of animation, that quality of writing, just for the whole thing.
I'm keeping my hopes up.
Mine is Haikyuu to the top part 2. It's not really much to say about it. It's Haikyuu. And part 1 ended on somewhat of a cliffhanger, and but part 1 had so much character development. Some of the characters got so much attention that they desperately needed, and I'm excited for part 2. That's all I got.
I guess
Everyone loves Haikyuu. Sorry.
I guess I'll keep the sports theme going, and actually I lied. I don't know when it's coming out. I'm hoping it's winter, but this is your monthly reminder that the Uzumaki series is going to come out eventually, and my hype for it is so uncontained that it bleeds over no matter when it comes out. So Uzumaki, this is a
Same.
production IG one that I think is Adult Swim. I forget which company has helped putting it together, but excited for it. So if it comes out in winter, I'm a psychic, and that's my vote for number 3.
That would have been my number 1, but
we don't know when it's coming out.
List. Exactly.
Number 2 for me is Beastars. I thought season 1 was all around really great. It excelled in pretty much every area, and it seemed like the story was really starting to heat up there at the end of the first season. And considering I know nothing about the manga at all, I'm pretty interested to see where that story goes. I know that Louis, or whatever, the deer guy, like I know he didn't just poof out of the story. Like I know there's something more in store for him, and he's gonna come back, and stuff's gonna happen, and I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do with that. And I think it should be, if it's anything near as good as the first season, it's gonna be a treat to watch. So Beastars season 2 for me, it's my second most excited show.
Chat's arguing about Haikyuu. It is cracking me up. Mine is also Beastars season 2 because I've heard some crazy shit happens. I haven't read that far in the manga. All I know is I hear talks about deer gangs. So I'm excited. I love season 1 so much, and the manga is also great, so I'm excited.
Yeah, Beastar's second season was actually my number 1 pick. That comes out in winter, and honestly, like knowing a bit where the manga goes from here, this has potential to eventually be like a 10 out of 10 series for me.
Yeah,
Just like
for
Phil
sure.
with Promised Neverland, Legoshi I connect with so
Yes!
strongly.
Boy.
Oh my goodness, I love so many of the characters here. I love the art style. I love the look. I love Studio Orange, and they have to redeem themselves for not giving me Land of the Lustrous season 2. So this is definitely my number 1 pick. I'll talk about my number 2 later, but I don't know. It can't not be amazing. So Beastar's second season.
You heard it. It can't not be amazing.
It can't not be amazing.
All right. Well, number 1 for me is not going to be one anybody expected. There are shows on these 2 upcoming month lists that are pretty high profile that we didn't even mention. I don't even know if this is one of those, but for me, it's Dragon Quest Dai no Daiboken. There's a Dragon Quest anime coming out for the first time since 1991. Dragon Quest is awesome. It's a big fucking deal in Japan, considering it's like been the top selling RPG franchise in Japan since like the dawn of time. And it's been a long time since they did one. The recent Dragon Quest movie was pretty good, and I enjoyed that a lot. And it's just exciting to see a new season of like a full season like series coming out. And I watched the trailer, and it was like a whopping 12 seconds, but it still got me hyped. So I will probably be the only person that watches this in the world, but I'm hyped for the new Dragon Quest anime.
My number 1, because it's in a different season from Beastars, otherwise they would have had to fight, is To Your Eternity, the Fumetsu no Anata. And I love this manga. It is crazy and insane. It's a wild, emotional ride. And I know I did a manga minute on it. We did a manga club on it. It was one of the first manga clubs. And it was before our group grew so large. And I think a lot of the people who are in that club are no longer in our club, so it'd be kind of cool to do it again. But yeah, it's a really wild, fascinating ride, and it always feels like you never know what's going to happen except bad things. If you don't handle tragedy well, you probably don't want to read or watch this, because it's truly crazy. But it's also by the same author of A Silent Voice. So yeah, I'm really interested, and I'm just so excited to see it, because the visuals that I've also seen of it look pretty good. So yeah. That is To Your Eternity, sorry.
What Mandi said, that was my number 2 pick, and yeah, I read a little bit of it, not as much as Mandi, and absolutely sold on it and hyped for it. Chat really quick reminded me, there is a new, out of the blue, I don't know, who cares, there's a new 2-episode ONA of My Hero Academia that dropped seemingly out of nowhere pretty recently. So if you're a big MHA boy, want to check it out, I think it's on all like the Crunchyroll, Funimation, all those things. So if you want more of that, that's out there. But anyway, sorry.
I need to catch up on My Hero, because I don't know what my problem is, why it's so hard for me to get into it. I've tried.
You really don't need to, but
I want to, though. Everyone's so excited, and I feel left out.
I mean, give it a chance.
I would have fun, too.
But I wouldn't point to a single moment where you're like, oh, it gets good here, or really changes tone. Like, it's pretty much what it is, and if you jive with it off the bat, you'll keep on riding that high. And if it's just kind of falling flat, it's not going to change the game. But yeah. There you go.
I should also note that for me, my number 1 was definitely Dr. Stone. I just didn't put it on there because it's like obvious, like of course, duh. Like I don't want to be that predictable. I also added a spicy take special award, one upcoming popular show that you just don't care about, and for me, it's ReZero Season 2, Part 2 or whatever. Like,
who passed it?
Well, I mean, it was almost like I had to pass it. I'm not at fault. It's not my fault.
I think someone's avoiding the question.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who it would be.
Who said I'm so excited for this show?
Well, I was excited, but like
people are excited.
I was excited, but the first 25% of season 2, part 1 was just fell flat as hell. I mean, ReZero was always a really great show, and the first 3 episodes of the second season were just snoozers for me. I was like, okay, this is not interesting. And honestly, the time gap between seasons, like, I didn't know how it would affect me when I started watching it again, but, like, I just don't give a damn anymore. Like, I'm sorry, you made me wait 6 years or something. Like, I just don't care. Like, 6 years is a fucking long time.
I need to go back and listen to that impression. I'm curious now.
I said it.
Something's not adding up.
I said in the impression that if this had been a season with a lot of good anime, that this one probably wouldn't have passed, but I passed it because I basically had to because it's ReZero. So it's definitely top 8 for the season, but like in a season that's like has the normal amount of good shows, I just don't know if ReZero would have been up to snuff. So I just don't care. I don't know that I'll cover ReZero Season 2 Part 2. Probably won't.
You pass the show. You have to take responsibility for everything. I've prepared for that risk, passing Rent a Girlfriend. I know what's coming upon me with that.
I mean, I'm gonna watch ReZero Season 2 Part 1 because I passed it, but this is the different season as far as I'm concerned. Like, people want to say Part 1 and Part 2 are different, or the same season. Bullshit. They're not. They're different things. So I don't know. Everybody else is probably loving it. I bet it has the highest score of the summer on Mal. I'll just check. I bet it does.
That's not a really difficult thing to achieve.
Oh, it doesn't have the highest score on Mal. It has the second highest.
Great Pretender?
It has the
that
second.
highest?
Great Pretender is no. Where the hell is Great Pretender?
It's going to be down.
Oh, it's way down with like the O&As
O&A,
or some shit.
OVA section.
Great Pretender. Where the fuck is it? I don't. If you guys can find it, that would. Of the TV series, the Yahadi, the Seishun love comedy, whatever. Oregairu has the best score
by
but
0.01.
By 0.01. So ReZero's got an 8.5. Like, people are like, "Oh my god, ReZero," and I'm just like, okay, like, wanted it to be with that, but I'm just not hyped. Anyway,
mine was Danmachi Season 3 because I just never cared about the series.
There you go. Mine was probably the Slime Isekai. I thought it was pretty good, but I don't think I really need to see more of it to get the point, so I don't know.
Well, let's move on. I'm sorry that took so long. Mandi, what?
No, it was fun.
Mandi, what did you want to bring to the forefront?
Can I go last? Because mine's more of a discussion, so I don't know. I kind of threw it in there in case we needed more time, but it was kind of hard for me to come up with something. But I do have a topic that is currently being discussed in the anime community, so I thought it might be cool just to have a little discussion.
Yeah, let's do that. We're not. I think we're kind of running not like super long on time anyway, so I say we have this discussion and we can move along.
I don't expect the big overview to be like a half an hour or anything, so I mean.
But with mailbags and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot about mailbags.
What's the discussion topic?
Well, currently there's a lot of discussion going on. I don't know if we have mentioned it recently, but I think it came out of an article on Netflix and about anime industries right now. They're gaining so much more money from overseas, streaming things overseas, especially Netflix, things that are ending up on Netflix. They're gaining a lot more funding from those. But the extra money that they are bringing in is not trickling down to the animators themselves. There are a lot of animators have come out and said our wages are still extremely low. We don't see any of that additional extra money. And so that has started a debate concerning when it came up with Kiss Anime closing, that just started the conversation about piracy and what can be done to fix this. And I know we personally cannot fix any of this, but it's going to have to come from inside the industry itself. But just what are our overall thoughts on how things are being handled in terms of our overseas viewers throwing so much more money into the anime industry, but none of that going down to the actual animators themselves.
Yeah, so I think we brought up that article a couple episodes back about how the Netflix funding isn't going.
Was I not here for it? I don't remember. Maybe I was.
I think you were there, and I think we had a brief discussion on it, but we really didn't get to the discussion of what you mentioned. I think a lot of the major change has to come within the industry, whether they get unions or assemble in some way to kind of fight for a pay that they think is more suitable to the ways. And we talked about, the training projects or some ways that people have tried to put together establishments or funding opportunities. But I don't think we got into like what small part can we play in the Western audience to either provide support financially, just in acknowledgement, like what can we do? And I feel like the top of my head, it strikes me in a very similar way as what we talked about earlier this episode with the, kind of putting the content warnings on the Shonen Jump, manga stuff. Like, how much can we in the West really impact that? Honestly, not a ton, but I think nonetheless the conversation and attempt is kind of what matters to show companies that, hey, we like when the people who makes the things that we like, get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know a lot of the conversation came up because there are two certain arguments. Of course, I'm going off of anime Twitter, so but there are definitely two different arguments in the anime community. One entirely for just piracy, and one entirely for just stream things legally at all times. I'm definitely a person, and I was hesitant to talk about the Kiss anime subject as just a podcast in general, because I was like, if we want to get more sponsors, it might be kind of awkward, but honestly, right now, I don't really care. So.
I mean, it's part of a good discussion. I think ignoring the whole piracy side is, just kind of ignorant. But go on, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was going to say that, like, I'm definitely a person who's in the middle because, of course, it's really, piracy is a really difficult subject because, obviously, I know that there are a lot of people out there who cannot afford streaming. And there are, of course, countries that don't have as much access to anime that we do. And, and I feel like they definitely, don't need to be judged for if they choose to take whatever means they need to in order to watch a show. That's totally cool with me. I don't really mind, especially when there's so many old shows too that are not available anywhere. And I mean, we talk about them a lot and kind of just ignore the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, where'd you find this?
I found it, and we are so blessed to speak English, where almost everything is getting that translation. But there are countries who speak languages where Crunchyroll is not going to have the subs for you to make it that easy for you to consume the product. And if the only option you have is like a fan sub on some piracy site, like if that's going to be the way you need to do to watch it, like. It is what it is. And especially when people see articles where you say, well, I pay for this service and that money doesn't go to the people making the thing, why even bother paying for the service? Like, is this, like that was my one argument for getting me onto this service. And if that's not the case, how does that stack up? And like Mandi said, I think being in the middle is tough because there's moral discussions to be had there, and what you feel comfortable with and how much you want to give back to what has given you so much entertainment.
For sure. Like, I pay for everything legally. As people have seen my manga collection. No, because that's, I'm personally able to do so. So,
are you sure you don't send your ferrets like undercover into Barnes and Noble with like little spy, where they tie it under their nose
for stealing shit?
You just set them loose and they walk out with like
the masked manga capers. Yes, that's exactly what I do. It's called dirty business. But so personally I do, obviously. And because it's such a difficult subject, because you do want the creators to get the money that they deserve. It's just weird that there's nothing we can do to make sure that they are getting that money that they deserve. It's a really, I don't know, it reminds me so much of the video game industry too, where people are working so much overtime and crunch time and are not seeing any additional funds for that. It's really difficult, and there's not much that we personally can do except spread the word on it. But
no, I think it's
weird.
And it's like a very complicated discussion financially because, and I'm talking out of my ass for part of this, but some of this is just like basic business shit. But really the problem are the production committees. And people, we mentioned it, I think, and some people on the Twitch were talking about like animators unionizing. you got to be really careful with that. And I don't want to be like, oh, anti-animator or whatever, but because you got to hear me out. So when we talked about the Studio Arms studio that went bankrupt like a month ago or something, and in that article, it talks about how like 40% of the anime studios are already operating in the red, like they're already not making profit. So if you have animators unionized and you don't fix the underlying problems with the structure of the anime industry, all you're going to do is drive all the studios completely out of business. And that includes like the ones that aren't running in the red. So if you have studios that are like operating on paper thin margins and everybody unionizes and all the animator salaries double, just kiss anime goodbye. They're just going to move. It'll move to the Philippines and China and even more so than it is now. Like you just like goodbye. Like, you know, forget it. Like, you know, these studios, they're barely making money now. And apparently they're still barely making money, even though Netflix is pumping tons of cash over it. But it's not because, I don't believe it's because the anime industry isn't profitable. I believe it's because the way that the money's moving around and the structure of the industry is just not, it's almost like it's corrupt. Like the production committees are sucking up so much of the money that need to be going to the studios. Then you can pay the animators more money. Then the Netflix money makes it to the animators. But you can't have people unionize and double their salaries before the studios get any money. Like, they can't just pay money they don't have, right? So it's really like a systemic problem with anime in terms of like the animators being underpaid. And yeah, it does help when people buy things legally, but if you buy things legally and all that money goes to the production committee anyway, like, you don't help anything. So really, it's almost like there's like a wall, like a firewall, and it's just burning all the money. They like, oh, we can't get any money through the wall because the fucking production committees keep taking it all. Boom, it just burns up. Doesn't go to the studio, and then boom, Studio Arms is bankrupt. So it just, I don't even know how to fix that problem. I of course I don't. Like, I don't know how you could break that system, but it needs to be broken, and then you can pay people more. But the other problem is that, and this is like, I don't want this to sound bad, but if people are willing to work for nothing, they will be paid nothing. Like, that's how this works. Like, if you have, like, if I want to go teach English in Japan, even if I think I'm worth like $100K a year, if there's 2 billion of me, like, I'm not worth 100,000 a year. Like, the supply pool of labor is just too high. So as long as animators are in abundance and are willing to work unlimited overtime, they're not gonna be paid the way that we feel like they should be paid. And then, of course, they go back to the question of, well, then they need to unionize so that gets fixed. But then I go back to the production committee. It all is the fucking production committee. You have to break that shit. You have to break it, and then you could have money that trains people better. Then they get better benefits. Then animation quality goes back up, because it's like, oh my god, the studios, they can hire better people. They can train them better. They can hire more people. Suddenly anime starts to look like really good again. But if the production committee is going to take all the profitability, like, you can't exactly expect the studios to do much of anything. I'm sure there's some guy in like an office somewhere like, oh yeah, He's like nodding in agreement. He works at like Studio XYZ, and he's like, I agree. There's like the one guy. So yeah, but like, I mean, I don't know. Someone should do like some research on this. Like, I want to know more about it. Like,
there's definitely a lot more. I think people are talking about it a lot more, and so now there are more articles coming out for sure. Like, just in the past couple weeks, I've seen so many articles come out on it. I did see one too where some of the smaller studios have really poor money management as well. They're putting money in completely the wrong places as well. Sure. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, chat mentioned KyoAni. I don't know. KyoAni, as far as I know, has a completely like different model than everybody else. I don't know, whatever they're doing, they have their shit together.
Yeah, I would say, speaking of studios, that I would most point to as like a sign of success is honestly, as much as people might disparage some of their works, but Studio Trigger has really taken to online Kickstarters and Patreon and saying like, look, if you want us to make stuff, the best way to help us is to give us money directly, $1 a month, $5 a month on the Patreon, or like all Little Witch Academia. Like, I think they wanted to make a second episode after the first like OVA came out, and they were like, "Hey, we need about $150,000," and within like 6 hours, I think they had like $500,000 or over that. Like they just crushed it, and it shows that people want to support the people. They don't want to throw it at the big ship of nothingness that it's going to waste, or all these little corporations that don't have a clear idea, and they're just throwing harpoons into the water, trying to find the next big anime, and just like hoping one of them sticks and can give them financial success. And I feel like the just sheer number of shows that are coming out can kind of lead to like that fatigue of the industry being stretched too thin and just treating the art as more disposable than what it should be.
I just don't agree with. I don't know that there's. I feel like I sound terrible to say this. I don't know why exactly, but I don't agree with Kickstarter ever. I think Kickstarter is a terrible system, and I don't think it should exist. I think that if a company wants to make an investment and start a business, go to a bank like everybody else. There's the first thing. The second thing is if you're in an existing industry and you can't make profit with your current models and the infrastructure you have set up, then it's a bad system. Like, you shouldn't have to go to people to more or less beg for money to make your company work. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I've kickstarted a lot of things in my life.
I have too. I bought some workout stuff from Kickstarter, etc. So like, I mean, I've in full disclosure, but if an anime studio can't make money with anime's bigger than ever, it's bigger than it has ever been. There's people little kids all over the fucking United States are like watching My Hero Academia. Like, when I was a kid, I would have been like stomped into the curb for like watching Dragon Ball. But like now it's like the whole fucking world watches anime. So you got more people watching it than ever. And if you still can't make money without asking for money up front from people, then you're running your business like shit. And maybe I've said this before, like maybe it shouldn't run. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, am I wrong for saying that? Like, I just don't think the companies should rely on handouts from their consumers to stay afloat. Like, something's wrong with the system. It's broken.
I don't disagree. I think that a Kickstarter model for every anime studio across the board is not going to be sustainable. And, like, that's not a long-term thing. They've only used it on a couple projects. But I think I was referencing it more as a way that show that there's an interest in the community for supporting these type of creators. And that if there is an alternative way to support them, not for constant Kickstarters, but there is a drive out there for people to support what they love.
Can I just jump in here real quick? Someone on our Twitch who's very active, and I appreciate their comments, says Kickstarter is not as a Kickstarter, you are not a consumer but an investor, and that is incorrect. As an investor, I give you $10, and 3 years later, you give me $20. Kickstarter is more like, I give you $20, so I buy a T-shirt up front, and later I get the T-shirt in the mail.
Hopefully,
but that's a consumer. You're buying an item from the company on the assumption that they will follow through with their end of the deal. If I'm investing, you owe me a return financially. So let's not pretend like Kickstarter is investing, because it's not. It just isn't. I've never sent Kickstarter $50 and had them send me back $60 next year. Like, that doesn't happen. That's called the stock market. Like, that's not how Kickstarter works. I'm getting all worked up, but Kickstarter just drives me crazy. Like, it makes me go crazy. Anyways,
what I was trying to say is that like, if money is not getting passed down to the animators, Kickstarter is a great way to show support for the people. That money is going straight to them and not getting lost in the system, is what I think Mason was trying to say.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I got all worked up.
The people who support those anime Shark Tank episodes, I'll chip in $50. See what you can do with that.
I mean, we have paid subscribers as well, so
yeah. Enjoy your hentai episodes, my friends.
There you go.
Exactly.
But we do appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, I think for many years this is going to remain a conversation, and I think it's still a conversation worth having, and I hope we see developments in the industry who try new things and get rewarded for it. So, I don't know.
I'd love to see someone do like a forensic analysis on the anime industry. like when you bring in more money than you've ever had, and people still aren't seeing any money in terms of like their salaries, and studios are still running in the red, something is wrong with the system. You have to go in there and figure out what the hell is wrong. And I haven't seen anybody do it. I have these vague articles. It's like, this person's like, they remark, oh, production committees, they're investing their money in the wrong places. They're investing their money in capital investments. Well, like, that's great, but capital investments are supposed to benefit the business later. Like, you're investing in the business. If you're still in the red, you're putting your money in the wrong spots. Like, you're not investing it right. So I would love to have someone go in there and like answer some questions. Like, the articles we get are a little too
Failed.
It's like you have a piece of land and there's like something really special and interesting under the land, but you're like scraping at it with like a fork. And like, I can't, like, I know it's down there. I know there's something to be found, but like they're hitting it with like a fork. Like, get a shovel or a backhoe and get the fuck down in there and figure out what's wrong with it. Because like we've been talking about this for like a decade, and animators keep getting abused, but we don't know why. Someone's getting the money. It's going somewhere. Yeah. Someone's making it. I don't know. It's mysterious. Oh, sorry. I get really like fired. I think I had too much caffeine. Woo.
It was the Mega Man energy drink
and the E-Tank.
And the Cinesticks. They get
I feel
you going.
hot. I feel hot.
They get the people burning.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
I think that was enough topics. We can probably move on to our news break.
Oh, I liked yours, though, Mason. It was fun.
We'll save it for another time.
Oh, man, Mason, you're such a giver.
It's okay. It's okay. I selflessly sacrifice my bad ideas to the podcast gods for more future content.
All right.
Alrighty, so with that, we can go to our break, and our trivia question for you, which we will answer after the break, is what is Roger Smith's rule about letting people into his mansion? We already spoiled it for you. You should know the answers, so I don't know, you don't get anything out already. Of it. You don't get anything out of it, but we will be talking about Big O when we come back, so don't go anywhere.
Hey everybody, Mitsuki is here, and I'm bringing you your anime news yet again. Starting off with Orphan. I don't know why Orphan's getting a second season. We did not like the first season. People are not listening. But Orphan is getting a second season. They have a trailer out that you can watch, which reveals the January 2021 premiere date. So if you're a fan of Orphan, it's coming out. And looks like you can watch the video on YouTube and a variety of other places. That is for the Majutsushi Orphan. Hagure Tabi Kim Luck Hen, the Sorcerer Stabber Orphan Battle of Kim Luck. Definitely goes beyond the point in this Orphan story that I am familiar with. However, unless it's said to be quite better than what we got for that first season, I do not think I will be watching. Next up, Anime NYC 2020 canceled due to COVID-19. So I don't think anybody is particularly shocked, considering seemingly everything in New York City is canceled. But the next convention is going to be scheduled for November 19th through the 21st of 2021. Noted that, quote, Anime NYC looks to present alternative and online programming and events before November 2021. I don't know if it means that they're going to be doing even the next year's convention online, or if they're just going to have things to quench your appetite in the meantime, but it looks like they are taking extreme precautions to create, quote, an exciting, inviting, safe, and healthy way to celebrate New York's anime community. So look out for more details about that coming up. Next up, the MegaDEUCE manga creator Chikara Sakuma is launching a new manga in September. It's going to be called Link Man, and it's going to be focusing on soccer. Very different than MegaDEUCE, even though still in the sports sort of arena. The first chapter will have 63 pages, including a color opening page. If you were a fan of MegaDEUCE, and if you're a fan of Chikara Sakuma, you'll be able to enjoy Link Man, an upcoming soccer manga coming out this September, so look forward to that. And finally in the news, June, Kirarazaka's Bone Collection manga is ending in Shonen Jump. Shonen Jump is being in the news a lot. the 38th issue of Shonen Jump is going to be wrapping up the final chapter of this Bone Collection manga. The story in a world swarming with yokai demons. One day, mediocre exorcist Kazami encounters a beautiful girl named Paida, who is she? And could the seemingly useless Kazami actually have a special ability? Get ready for a new generation of yokai battle comedy manga. The synopsis coming from Viz Media. So if you're a fan of that, look out for the final chapter coming up in the 38th issue of Shonen Jump, and maybe it'll get made into an anime now that it's completed. This is Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break, and now time to get back to the podcast. Hey Addicts, I guess you have probably heard by now, but we have decided that at the end of August, we will be ending our promotional arrangement with JList.com. So what does this mean exactly? Well, we do still recommend you visit JList for all your anime shopping needs, but we will no longer be receiving financial support from JList to run the podcast the way that we have in past years. But don't panic yet. We're putting out a rallying cry to all the anime addicts across the globe to help support the podcast. We need you guys more than ever, and you can visit patreon.com or our website, aaapodcast.com/join to offer support. Anything is appreciated, and you'll get some pretty sweet content as a reward. Don't forget those hobby addicts and hentai episodes. So again, help us help make your anime addiction worse over at Patreon or aaapodcast.com/join. We really appreciate your help. Like Ippo, we're never down and out. It's time for one more Gazelle Punch. Together, let's make that anime addiction worse for years and years to come. Alright, well, I gave this one away earlier. Spoiled my own question. What is Roger Smith's rule about letting people into his mansion? It says, generally, they can't enter without permission, but he, quote, has a special rule that only lovely young women can unconditionally enter the mansion. That's his rule. I don't know if Batman ever had a rule like that, but...
I think his rule is no one, ever.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, and now you can also go to iTunes or the Apple Podcast app, submit a 5-star review on those platforms, and we will be happy to read them on the podcast, just like we're going to do right now.
It's time for iTunes review.
This one comes from Maddie 40 Hands, my favorite anime podcast. Oh, so touched. Coming down from all that caffeine. Woo! I've been listening to this podcast for over a year now, and I still look forward to it every week. There are tons of episodes, so don't worry, you won't run out of content anytime soon. I'm ashamed that I didn't write a review sooner. The hosts are all very fun and interesting to listen to, and their podcast is actually organized with segments like a proper show should be, IMO. They also have fantastic paid extra content that I could definitely recommend if you enjoy their chemistry together. Their hentai episodes are my personal favorite. Funny stuff. Much love to the AAA. Thank you. Thank you very much, Maddie 40 Hands.
That was so well written. Thank you.
Yeah, you broke it down into paragraphs and everything. Like,
I appreciate it immensely.
All right. And now, mailbag time. Where's that mailbag drop?
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
So if you'd like to leave us a mailbag question, go to aaapodcast.com There's a mailbag button there, and you can ask us any question that you would like. This one is from Otaku Cup, and they say, "Greetings, AAA fam. I was rewatching some of my favorite episodes from anime, and I've realized that a lot of my favorite moments have to do with what I call epic saves. Just when it seems like someone is done for, another character swoops in to save the day." They also leave some examples. I don't know if I should say them, 'cause
Probably
they might
not.
be spoilers.
You can probably say the episode number from the.
Episode 19 of Demon Slayer and episode 85 of Black Clover are examples. But their question is very simple. What are some of your memorable anime epic saves?
Mason just covered this anime on the podcast, Future Boy Conan. I love the scene where Lana saves Conan. I won't give any like context beyond that for spoilers, but it was such a great scene. I loved it, and she was so brave to help Conan when he needed it. Because Conan's always helping everybody else. He's like the most generous, caring character you ever see, and would easily give his life for a lot of different people. And so he gets helped out, and it's nice. Also,
every episode of Future Boy Conan is an epic save.
Pretty much.
If you love those kind of stuff, watch that show.
It's such an action anime. I also love the scene in Castle in the Sky where Sheeta and Pazu are running away from the pirates. It's like right at the beginning of the movie, and the miners come in and they're all like busting their shirts off. Like, that's an epic save. That shit cracks. That shit cracks me up.
In the streets.
Yeah, they're like having a competition about who can like bust their buttons off their shirt better.
Yeah,
this shit cracks me up so much. Oh my god, I love it.
Both a minor from Hunter x Hunter, no surprise there.
No.
One of them I've talked about a lot, of course. The best epic save, which makes you just go, "Oh shit," was when Hisoka threw that volleyball, that dodgeball back. That was cool.
Hisoka, he's got
literally a character.
He's got some manly ass moments and a manly buttocks.
He was like, "No, we want an absolute win. Take that back." The other one was when Knuckles is about to be destroyed by Yuppie, and Killua just shows up. It's like, "Nah, I'm gonna shock him." Save Knuckles' ass. That was cool.
Yeah, I tend to not like those quote-unquote epic save scenes. They usually take the form of like a Deus Ex Machina, or like something just like the writer put himself into a corner and they're like, I just need to bail myself out. Some random character, eagle swoop in kind of thing. Like, I don't tend to like that. But the only exception is like in team sports where you expect that kind of cooperation. And I think across the board, Haikyuu has some of the best, like right as the tides are about to turn or the ball's about to land, someone like dives in and makes an excellent play, and you're just like, oh, so hype about it, and the way that the scene can continue and they still have to keep on fighting. Those are always the best moments. The next mailbag comes from Grealish.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with that, yeah. And they say, "Hey team, this is a little question/criticism that I have for you all. I notice that on the podcast sometimes you guys seem to rush through sequences. You often say you've been speaking too long, or you say let's not stay on this for too much longer, and it's a shame that you limit yourself too much, as listeners will most likely not mind longer topics. I understand that you work like clockwork and a well-timed mechanical clock, but don't be afraid to become like a sundial every now and then. Do you just have a general length that you want the podcast to be? Peace out, and with much love."
That's a great analogy. Wow, I love it. I love it. I love a good analogy. First of all, thanks for the feedback. And, man, we do have a packed outline. Like, usually it's very packed. We are on page 12 right now of this outline. And every time I've done a poll in the past and asked people, like, how long do you want the podcast to be? Everyone always says, "Oh, make it longer." Like, honest to God, this podcast would be 5 hours long if people could have it that way. That's just a fact. It's usually overwhelmingly people are like, make it longer than 2.5 hours. And I'm just like, wow, like, it's flattering that you want to hear us talk for that long. Ideally, I think that I personally would like the podcast to be probably 90 minutes. Like, I think that's a great length. 2 hours.
We're 20 minutes overdue already.
we try for 2 hours, but it never happens. We we try to put as much content in as we can, and it's sometimes it's a shame to say we gotta wrap it up when it's a good conversation topic, but sometimes if you don't wrap it up, the podcast ends up being 4 hours long. But we do sometimes continue conversations in our after parties and stuff. So if it's really good, sometimes it finds its way over there. But I don't know. It's just flattering people want to listen for that long. Do you guys have anything to add?
Leave the people wanting more than... I think it's easy to start bloating and repeating ideas and just kind of dragging stuff on for too long. And can you imagine being a co-host and having to deal with me for like 4 hours at a time after we do Hobby Addicts, the main episode, and then like after parties? Like, I'm already sick enough of myself as it is, so I feel for my co-hosts for every minute they have to deal with me.
I think we're just really densely packed. Like, we
Yeah.
have a lot of segments, but we also have a lot of things that I feel like are a little more unique than what a lot of other shows do. Like, I don't know many others that cover news and stuff. Of course, only out of the ones that I've listened to. There are loads of anime podcasts out there. But yeah, we have so much stuff, and there are definitely podcasts that cover each of our segments by themselves, like just a manga podcast, just seasonal anime, just retro anime. But we kind of just cover everything, so I don't know. It's difficult trying to keep everything, but under 2 hours.
Well, I think this person is saying keep it and don't
extend it.
Yeah,
Guys, we have things to do.
some of us have lives.
Some of us have to I have groceries.
Have to work in the morning.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. It's so funny. Speaking of not moving on, it's so funny that after working from home for, good Lord, it's been half a year at this point. When I do have to go into the office for a day, I'm so indignant about it. I don't want to fucking go. I have no reason. I live right now. I have an 8-minute commute, and my office is empty, so there's almost no risk of any kind of coronavirus stuff going on. But I'm just I don't want to go to the office. And when I do go, I'm in jeans and a t-shirt. It's funny how things happen. Speaking of working, and tomorrow's Monday. Oh, no.
Yikes.
No. Yikes, Krispies. No way.
And with that, I think we will go to our actual final segment of the episode as we are about to round the clock over into 2 hours, which is the review of the Big O.
Now, Big O, it's showtime!
MegaDEUCE!
So
And
this
it was. Sorry.
This was a retro review that one of the ones I had suggested. I did not know anything going into this show. This was always a term that was thrown around, Big O, Big O, Big O. And I was like, oh, that seems like it's probably a good show if people are talking about it a lot. It seems to be fueled a lot by nostalgia. This aired on Cartoon Network back in the day. And it's, I think it's about 2 decades old. You can watch it on High Dive, but just season 1, just the first 13 episodes, which is interesting because this was originally supposed to be a 26-episode show. Started airing. It did kind of so poorly in Japan that they cut it, just went with 13 episodes, and it was such a success in the Western market that Cartoon Network helped fund it and bring it back for the last 13 episodes. So legally, only the first half of this show is available, and I didn't really have a ton of expectations going into it. But what is Big O? Big O is the story of Paradigm City, which is a city where 40 years ago a calamity occurred and people lost their memories of the time of a moment that happened. And there's this whole kind of shroud of mystery that covers over the town. And our main character, Roger Smith, which is a little bit of a better name than Peter Grill, but he is a negotiator who goes around in a very, I don't know, he's a mix between Batman and
No, he is Batman.
Phoenix Wright.
He's Batman.
But he looks like he should be saying objection constantly.
Brother, he wears black. He lives in a mansion. He has a bat cave and a butler. He's fucking Batman.
He's pretty much Batman. It's funny. This looks and sounds just like Batman the Animated Series because it was done by the same studio, Sunrise, who did the subcontracting work for that. And yeah, it's very much Batman the anime. just with mecha robots. But essentially, he goes around, he negotiates deals with big corporations, crime syndicates, and usually those negotiations somehow meander and turn into giant mecha robot battles. And as he continues these cases, he starts to uncover the secret of the city and what is at the heart of this paradigm city in which he lies. So I guess I kind of touched on it, but did you guys have any initial expectations going into this work?
Well, I'd seen about half of the Big O already. Or maybe just like half of it in pieces. It's almost like when you just catch like a random episode of South Park, and you're like, I've seen some South Park, but because it was on TV for a while, and back when this was on TV was in the time when I was big on. I had cable back then, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like Toonami and Adult Swim, and sometimes the Big O would be on, and I'd catch an episode here and there. So, I'd seen enough to pretty much know what it was, and but I didn't really think I knew if it was actually a good show or not. In my opinion, of course. So I was kind of interested in finally watching it and having a full opinion. So.
I never watched it when it was originally airing, and I haven't. This is my first time watching it, and I didn't have any huge expectations going in. Only that, going off of the artwork and just screenshots that I have seen, I thought that it was going to be like a kind of sort of like Batman, kind of just an action kind of spy noir show with robots or mechas. So I don't know. It definitely looks so much like Batman. So yeah. I was kind of expecting sort of that kind of thing, except with mechas. I don't know.
Nice. So we will go into our spoiler-free recommendations, and I'll start with the obvious question, which I think we can all answer: is did you guys watch this subbed or dubbed?
Dubbed.
And did you watch the entire 26 episodes or just 13?
Yeah, all of it.
All of it.
Okay, just double checking because there's quite the shift on that halfway point. But I also
I was gonna say, did you say that it's on the first half is on High Dive?
The first half is on High Dive.
Yeah.
And it's funny, kind of going into my spoiler-free review. The first half of this 13-episode show, I could see definitely digging the show very on a week-to-week basis. Like, it's very episodic. It's very almost Monster of the Week, but they bring back the same villains repeatedly. So I guess it's more like Power Rangers. But you could sit down and be like, oh, that looks kind of cool. There's not much of a depth to the show. There's not much of a plot. He goes to negotiating thing. Things go down. There's a big robot fight. Case closed. Everything's wrapped up. And you watch the next episode the next time you see it, like Mitsuki said, just by chance. And I could see how that style works. And then the second half was definitely more almost Gainaxy, where they go into this weird, ambitious, convoluted, obtuse plot. And you almost need to watch that back to back to keep track of all these moving parts, all these things going on. And the biggest problem I had is I preferred the second half, and the first half really didn't I didn't need the first half to enjoy the second. The biggest problem is I just couldn't pay attention during the show. It was a constant fight to stay watching and listening, and I just wanted to think about anything else. I just found myself distracted by the littlest things going on. Like, I had to sit away from my computer when I watched this. Otherwise, I would find myself just clicking onto different websites while the show was playing. I don't know if I've ever had to battle this hard to care about a show. And it's not a bad show. It didn't rope me in with any interest.
Yeah, I'm about exactly the same. I think just because the switch between season 1 and season 2 was so severe that I don't know, it really threw me off. Like, the first half of the season or the series felt very simplistic. Like, there was a little bit of a mystery in there. There's a memory loss mystery in there. But like Mason said, it's very Monster of the Week. It's like, here's a new case. It gets, they conclude it by the end. And that was easy to follow. But then it switches very harshly in the second half. And I saw that the scriptwriter was by the same person who did Serial Experiments Lane. That explains a lot. Expect that in the second half, where it's very abstract, very there's I don't know, it's hard to follow, and I feel like it's definitely one of those shows where you have to analyze everything that and put pieces all together. And normally I love that stuff, but I think it lost me along the way because I wasn't expecting that to happen. And like I really liked Lane, Serial Experiments Lane. I thought because I kind of got that feeling at the very beginning, I knew what to expect, going forward. And the weird art style also played into that. But there's something just off-putting about the kind of Batman look to it that doesn't really work with the themes that they're. I don't know. Like Mason said, I had a really hard time paying attention, and I was doing really well for the first 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just started losing me, and I kept losing my place. And I all of a sudden the credits are rolling, and I'm like, oh shoot, I have to go back. What happened? Spoiler: nothing happened. So yeah, they're like, if you really love those kind of shows where you have to build theories off of it, maybe you would like this one. But normally I love that kind of stuff, and this one lost me. So I don't know. That's where I'm at. I don't strongly recommend it unless you really love that kind of stuff.
And then just watch the second half.
Yeah.
Or if you just like Monster of the Week and Mechas, watch the first half and then call it, like, I don't know. It seems like two shows for two different sets of fans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would recommend the Big O. I mean, there's so many reasons. Like, the story is nebulous. I don't know. It's kind of hard to, like we already said, the story's convoluted at best, and it gets worse as it goes on. The action is very so-so. Like, it's not really. I guess it's kind of like kaiju, sort of, because like big monsters show up and they have monster fights, but it's like there's better stuff elsewhere. The characters in this aren't all that interesting. They're not.
I think that's my problem. Is just the characters are not interesting enough for me to stick with it.
I softly disagree, but we'll talk about that when we get to spoilers.
It's like, does anybody think that Batman is all that cool or interesting when he's actually Bruce Wayne?
Yeah,
Yes?
everyone wants to be Batman.
But you want to be Bruce Wayne.
I'm the Batman.
Yeah, but you want
Where are the other drugs going?
But you want to be Bruce Wayne. Because Roger
He's
Smith.
rich.
Well, there's that. But and he has a great chin. But
You know how much manga that can buy me?
a lot. But the characters just aren't that interesting, and even like I can't speak for the sub, but the dub, even the voice acting I didn't think was all that good. I don't even think Steve Bloom gives a very good performance in this. There are sections where you can just tell that they're not aware of what's happening in the conversation. It's almost like they're reading lines out of context, and like you're like, oh, that's the wrong inflection. It doesn't feel natural. It's just lackluster, I would say, and I do like the mecha's designs. Like I always love mecha designs. Like they just look Sunrise. It's what they do, I guess, to an extent. But ultimately, I just think the Big O was a letdown, and I think I enjoyed it more at the beginning, and then I enjoyed it less and less as it rolled on, and I think that's a huge issue. So, yeah, not really recommending.
There you go. Well, with that, we will go into spoilers. We will talk about all the sorts of things that happens or
We'll
think
try.
happen. We'll try. These are all conjectures. There is no set in stone thing. So there will be light spoilers, but we will go on to talk about characters and art and animation and music. So if you want to, stick around and we will get to that. Play the drop.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So
Guys, what happened?
I'd like to start
I
with the
don't know.
plot, and starting with the first part, where there's all these episodic mysteries. I thought the most interesting part of the mystery was wondering what contrived reason would a giant robot appear. Like, they would go to like a piano bar where Roger and his android assistant Dorothy would be learning to play piano, and I'm like, okay, I know 18 minutes from now there is going to be a giant robot fight.
Yep.
What are they going to pull out of their butt to make that reason so? Or like they're investigating a journalist, and it's like, how is this going to snowball into and it was never really like a domino effect. It was always like all of a sudden this guy just brings out a big robot and he's like, oh well, I guess it's now time to bring out my big robot. It felt like Power Rangers, where you could see the steps where like, oh, they're gonna fight the little people, and then they're gonna fight the big bad, and then the big bad's gonna grow up and become monstrous, and then they're gonna bring out their Megazord. Like, you could see that happening at the end of all of these initial episodes, that I was just kind of like not invested in the mysteries because I saw how they would all end with a big punch.
Let's measure the size. Let's compare the size of our robots. How about that?
Oh, okay, there we go.
Who's got the bigger
Numbers.
robot?
That's what we're all about here. But as Mitz looks it up, I think the problem I had with the first half is that it kept on alluding to all these interesting ideas about the lack of memories and what kind of person are you if you can't remember what you were or what became of you. And I was like, oh, these are interesting thoughts. I want to see where they go with this. And they didn't go anywhere. They just kept on saying memories. Sometimes they come to you and sometimes they don't. Tough luck.
Well, there's like this mystery, right? It's like, oh, like there was a section where they were killing senators or whatever. And I was like, why are they killing the senators? And then they start talking about how like some of these people got their memories back. And so they had to be wiped out. And it's like, oh, what are they trying to hide? Ooh.
The tomatoes.
What is it? What is the secret? And then like, I don't know. It just didn't really go anywhere. And then it got weird.
Half.
It got weird. Very weird.
So, I guess before I launch into the second half, Mandi, did you have any comments about the first or?
Yeah, no, I thought Dorothy was a really cool character, and I thought a lot of it was going to deal with the interaction between like androids and humans, and it seems a little cliche. I was thinking about the episode with the robot detective, and you'd get a feeling that there's a little bit of a mistrust between them in that episode, and it is a little cliche because a lot of series do that. And I mean, but I still eat that shit up like Pluto. Fucking love Pluto. The manga by Urasawa. Mm-hmm. So I was expecting some of that, but it obviously wasn't. The whole series wasn't about that. It was just like a little mentions here and there. But I did think that Dorothy was a cool character to introduce to it, and I liked like the perspective of the android versus the humans. It was kind of cool. But that was like only the first half. But there definitely was like a lot of mystery in there, and I was curious. I was like, ooh, what are all these, like, what happened? How did everyone lose their memories? And what are these domes that everyone's talking about? Because I think, didn't they say that everyone's living under this
dome?
Dome.
Yeah, and
I was like, ooh, it's kind of like Attack on Titan. What's out there? What's going on?
Yeah.
So it's kind of curious. Like, what are they hiding? What are they trying to keep everyone from? And I thought that was really cool. And it does, if you put all the pieces together, I have like there are theories, but I still felt like, I don't know, I didn't feel satisfied at the end. I felt like none of it came to a point where I was like, oh, that light bulb moment where it all clicks together. It was just kind of like, I think this is what happened, but I'm not sure. So I don't know. Maybe it's because of that it didn't feel as satisfying to me because I didn't get enough info.
Sorry. I like the ending. So essentially, in my interpretation,
you also like Evangelion.
I do. This, all of the Big O, is, in my opinion, about Japan's perception of itself after World War II. This traumatizing event has happened in their history. You have this war period, and Japan is thinking about how are we going to move on with this kind of defining our history. Where did we get these giant militaristic weapons of doom? How do we know how to use them? What cost did it give our civilization? And how do we move forward as a society knowing that there were war crimes committed or travesties committed? Like, how do we as a society progress, and how do we accept what we did and what was done, and how do we not just blindly move forward without accepting the past? And I think that's at the core what they were trying to say with these forgotten memories. And you can't move forward without coming to terms with what happened. And I think that doesn't get touched on until way later, in the second half. And that kind of explains where these weaponized units came from. And I think that acceptance is what they're trying to say. And there's a couple explosions later on, similar to in a lot of other anime, that reminded me of the Hiroshima bomb dropping, except instead of the classic mushroom cloud that we see buildings ripped apart in a very similar dome-esque fashion, like the thing we saw when we visited the city. And I think that is inherently an interesting point to be made. And at the end, when we get that flashback, which is kind of a flash forward at the same time, it's, what is the answer? The answer is modern day Japan. How will that nation continue? And it's kind of, the question is left up to the audience to think about, how will we as the audience in this nation move forward? And I found that interesting, but I didn't think it needed 26 episodes to say that. Possibly.
That's an interesting theory. It's a lot like how I'm always like theorizing about Habane Renmei or some of these other shows where it's kind of where it's not just given to you, like what is this about? You have to kind of apply a theory and then sort of look at different points that might support your theory. And it kind of makes sense that could be possible, since the city is certainly a shit show, a lot like Gotham, and if they're not gonna remember or accept the flaws of the past, then maybe they can't move on and improve the city or get out of the dome or whatever. But then it's like there's an awful lot of people trying to. It seems to me that there's a lot of people trying to prevent people from remembering, or they're trying to destroy or hurt the city. And then I'm like, well, why would someone try to prevent them from remembering? Like, what is if it's usually these shows that are about like Japan not being able to get over World War II, it's usually a criticism of the country and that they want the country to move on, but they're like, oh, I'm going to criticize the country because they don't seem to be able to. And then then I think, okay, well then the show normally, like the message wouldn't be, let's try to prevent the country from moving on. It's more that they're just not. So then I wonder why they're trying to prevent them from remembering. And if they're not trying to prevent them from remembering, please correct me, because the show wasn't exactly clear a lot of times.
Nothing in the show is clear.
I think what I put together from everything that I witnessed was that, like Mason said, there's, the big war, but only this little city survived it that lives under the dome. And in order to keep them put together, they started making clones. Everybody's a clone. It's everything in that, all life under that dome is simulated. And so they implant them with the clones with memories of just before that big, the bomb that destroys all life on Earth.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know, somehow the memories get mixed up and they get from different points of history right before there, because like you see Roger's memories from way before, like from a completely different point of time, and some of the, like Dorothy remembers like all different kinds of timelines in there. And that's what I put together, is that all the life under this dome is simulated, and the only way that they can keep it functioning is to keep it in a time loop right before that war happened, so that it doesn't happen again.
It's all synthetic. It's all tomatoes. Yeah. It's all them coming to terms with it, but having to figure it out themselves.
That's what I put together, but I also didn't feel very satisfied.
It's all just various. Well, I think the plot is inherently going to be a nebulous discussion, and I think if anyone came to me and said, oh, I think this happens, I would be like, yeah, I could definitely see that. So I think moving on to characters is kind of the next point to go. If you don't have a plot to tie down to, I guess characters are the next best thing. I thought the villains were pretty weak, but I actually really like Roger, and I really like Dorothy. I think they were a great pair, because Roger he wants to be Bruce Wayne. He wants to be this cool, hard-boiled guy, and he's such a doofus. Like, he wants to be cool. He wants to have that swagger, and he is constantly blindsided by wanting to be cool and looking like a doofus. And Dorothy, who is the sidekick, is that calm, badass, level-headed character that Roger wishes he was like in the comic books. And I think their interplay, every time she just coolly looks at him and says like, Roger, you louse.
Exactly,
every
just
time.
like that.
Her eyes, I know she's supposed to be an android, but always looked like they were just drawn on. And I know she's literally an animated character.
Literally drawn on.
She is supposed to be an android, so it makes sense that they would be drawn on. But her eyes just didn't look like anyone else's, and it bugged me. I love her like hairband disc drive that goes in and out. Like there's so many little cool design mecha moments in the show that Mitsugi talked about where that's what Sunrise does best.
Yeah.
And there's just I don't know, the whole like noir aesthetic of the show, from like the traffic lights that change at the same time to like the room of hourglasses to these slanted lifts. Like the world is inherently looks cool and it's very style over practicality. And I just like the way the show looks and I like the two main characters, and yet I still just didn't jive with the show and I don't quite know why.
Mitz has a cursor over my eyeball on Twitch. It's funny.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I'm just kidding. It's just like it looked like I was crying.
I didn't even know that that cursor was visible. Oh, wow. I learned something.
No, I love Dorothy, and I love their interactions as well. I love it how she always wanted to play piano in the morning because that's what she remembered. Yeah, super loud. That's what she has memories of from the girl that she's supposed to be modeled after. And Roger hates it because it always wakes him up. So he just tied up the entire piano finally.
Yeah.
That was funny. Stuff like that was really cool. And I love the butler. The butler is cool.
Yeah, he was pretty badass. Actually, my favorite Dorothy moment is early in season 1. Someone like captures her by like turning on the magnet above her, and she gets stuck, and you're like, haha, she's metal. I get it. But then later in season 2, someone turns on the magnet above her, but she doesn't just instantly get like sucked up. She like slowly drifts up.
She floats up.
She just like berates Roger for being a doofus. And she's just like is super casual about it, and I love that scene so much. It is funny. Like she's not phased in the slightest. She's the best.
I feel like the show functions pretty well with just Dorothy and Roger and the butler. And I almost wish it had been a simpler, less convoluted show where it was Roger going out to fight crime. That was almost like a Bubblegum Crisis or a what is there's another show where they have we just watched it. That was that police show we just watched where they're fighting like the boomer, or not the boomers, but the
boomers.
The boomers. Get out of my chat, boomers.
Yeah, you're boomers.
Well, I think they're called boomers in Bubblegum Crisis. But there was that comedy police show we watched, like as a retro a couple months ago. I can't remember. I can't remember shit. But like it almost would have been better to me if Roger was going out to fight crime that involved other robots, and the butler was there to be the butler and fix things and be everyone's favorite in secret or whatever. And then Dorothy's like Robin, but so she'll like help out from time to time and what however. But I think the show just tries it because they're all pretty good. They're not great characters, but when you look at Roger Smith, you're like, I liked him okay. He was pretty good. But then, like, I think Roger and Dorothy and the butler together as a trio, they function pretty well. But the show, I just feel like it tries to do too much, and ultimately, the villain and Dustin, like, God, the show even has the friggin' police chief, like Dustin or whatever his name is. It's hilarious. But the show just tries it just tries to do too much. There's too much that unexplained, too much just wasted time on story points that don't really seem to be afterthoughts, because ultimately I thought that like the main characters were likable enough. Like they're not like Spike Spiegel level great, but I mean I've certainly seen anime characters that are less memorable. So
you brought up a funny name for robots called boomers.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the name MegaDEUCE and how that was never not funny.
Oh my God, it was
because
always funny.
I watched I watched the show both
guys.
subbed and dubbed. And I started in dub because that's what everyone said to do.
Yep.
You got my boy Steve Bloom out there, and every time they said time for bringing out the MegaDEUCE or it's a big MegaDEUCE, I was immature and I thought it was hilarious, and I was
it is
laughing my butt
hilarious.
off. And then I went to the subs and I realized they were spelling it MegaDEUCE with the deuce being DEUS as in like deus, as in God in Latin. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense, but no, it's ever going to be a big poop in my book for how they saw. And the dub was
fucking hilarious.
Kind of competent. I think Steve gave Roger more of a like silly demeanor to every time he messed up. So I thought that was kind of, I think that lended a lot to his charm and to the show as a whole. One of my favorite moments from the dub that they kept in there, and actually said it more than in the sub, is there's a moment where a bunch of photographers are taking pictures of this big robot. They're like, Sugoi, 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 Sugoi.
Oh yeah,
And
that was
I watched
hilarious.
it in sub. They don't say Sugoi as much. Like one person says
Oh.
it, but I think the dub people are just like, oh,
I
we're going
was
all in.
wondering what that'd be like in Japanese.
Yep,
Because there's supposed to be like Japanese like tourists.
exactly.
It was really funny.
But overall, the sound of the show, besides the dub, like I liked a lot of the saxophone pieces. It was very stylish and snazzy. A lot of like jazzy tunes. I thought that the big OP didn't do much for me. It was kind of just like a ripoff, and it was catchy and it stuck in my head, but I didn't think it was all that good.
Big O.
Big O.
O.
Oh, big O, big O. Big O.
Big O.
It was like very Flash Gordon-y, I think.
Yeah.
Big deuce.
I thought the overall style of it was kind of cool because I mean it looks exactly like you said Batman, but for an anime I thought it was kind of cool, and I definitely see why maybe it didn't pick up in Japan as much as it did over here, because it definitely has more of a Western cartoon style to it, but I didn't think the animation was fantastic.
No,
it didn't
was
move
not.
very well.
Nope.
No, but it kind of fit like the stiff tone of the thing. Like every time like the car drove over the camera and it was like really elongated. Like I like the perspectives and the color palette, but like Mandi said, it animation wise was very chunky, which is fine for robots. But when people are moving that stiff, it's not as good of a look. Can't play it off as well.
How'd you like the sound effects that the Big O makes when he walks?
Oh god, they're so weird. Pew pew is definitely like Transformers, old Transformers.
It's like,
what it sounded like. Yeah. There were some action movements where it's like pew pew pew. I was like, oh no.
There's like no weight to it.
I hated that stuff, but it's that's so common in old mecha shows, though.
Mm-hmm. Some dude is just like hitting pots and pans around the studio, and that's what they're using for FX.
Well, not mechas, but at least going off Transformers, I've heard those sound effects so many times in Transformers. Weird, very weird laser beam kind of sound effects.
I didn't feel like they needed to have a lot of the moments that they did. I didn't think a lot of the villains they needed to have. I didn't think the show even needed mechs. I think it would have been fine without them. Like,
I agree.
But Roger doesn't have
much going on.
Roger doesn't carry a gun. How's he gonna fight?
He's got a watch, silly, and that
watch
all of a sudden can like melt.
Oh my god!
Metal beams.
Oh my god! Like
I know. Speaking of like the sudden Evangelion references with like all the like the cross poses, like okay, we get it,
Yeah.
Like I get that Batman doesn't use guns, but he has all kinds of cool gadgets. He's got way more than a freaking watch. He's got a batarang and
he doesn't
armor.
Have a Dorothy.
Well, no, but he's got Robin. Hello. And
That's
Batgirl,
such a
I guess.
Settling comparison.
I don't know. Batman has all kinds of these cohorts that show up, but
I guess so.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think I'm ready to score it.
I don't have much more to say about the Big O, to be honest.
You guys ready to go to our final scores?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I think I actually said everything I need to do. Yeah. I don't know. The show was two different beasts. I think I'm one of the few who kind of like the ending, and I wanted to like the style of the show, and I don't know what fell flat. It just I could see this being really good watching it week to week, the first half back when it was airing, and thinking it was fun and cool, but I think with any sort of retrospect, it just doesn't hold up that well, and its themes are not as deep as I would have liked them to be. So I'm going to give it 1.5 showtimes out of 5.
Oh, it's showtime.
1.5?
Woo!
Damn.
God dang. Ooh, Mason comes in with the hatchet and just chops off an arm.
I was bored and I wasn't even going to give it a 1.5.
Your arm is off. No, it isn't.
And really, it was actually a 1 until like the last 5 episodes.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
And then I would have said a 1.0, but
oh man, I think that the Big O was pretty average in most ways, and I didn't hate it, but I certainly didn't really like it either. And so I'm going to give it as middle of the road of a score as I can, and I'm going to give it
That'd be 2.5.
He's like 5 divided by 2.
What's half of 5?
The decimal
2.5.
comes over.
But we know that you're thinking of a score thing to give it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
give
I
it. You
know.
know what? Just for the sake of being funny, I'm gonna give it 2 deuces.
Hey,
shit.
I was waiting for. I was actually gonna say that at the beginning when you're like MegaDEUCE. It is a MegaDEUCE.
You know what?
That would
Screw
get
it.
2
Listen,
deuces.
I'm gonna give it. I'm changing it. I'm gonna giving it 2.5 deuces that I just couldn't pinch off out of 5 because some of it's still,
One of them's turtling.
Okay,
Oh
so if
my
you gave it
God.
2.5 deuces, and deuces are 2, that means you gave it 5. Never mind. Mandy, what do you got for us? What poop-based fun do you have to?
Oh, I don't have a
slide this
poop-based
show
fun.
into the toilet.
I think that I can definitely see this one being, harshly debated over. I definitely see if you're in the camp of you need things a little bit more straightforward, and maybe that kind of abstract sort of serial experiments lane type show is off-putting for you. You're probably going to hate it, but can also definitely see a group of people who think that this is a masterpiece that you can debate over, and that's fine. I'm not saying that you're wrong at all, but because I also have a lot of shows like that. But
Big O.
I definitely say this is for a group of fans who love to make theories and put all the puzzle pieces together. I think for me personally, it was just a really weird shift from part 1 to first half to second half that it put me off, and I ended up getting really bored. But I was almost exactly like Mitz. I am kind of in the middle of the road. I didn't hate it, also didn't love it, so I don't highly recommend it, but I can definitely see the appeal that people have for it. So I'm going to give it 2.5 piano wake-up calls out of 5.
Hugging his pillow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the big O. Okay. And I'm not sure what we're doing next week yet, but we'll figure it out. We've not, that was the last. Well, I guess it really wasn't from a recent season, but that was technically part of our winter season for 2020. Now that's gone. Goodbye. Goodbye, Big O. And so now we've got an awful lot from spring. So we're gonna be jumping into spring here now. And we got a lot of those to cover, so we're going to have to bust out an order for those. And I'll have those up on the website pretty soon here. So it'll be fun to see.
What website might that be?
Oh, brother, it's aaapodcast.com. Again, if you want to help out the podcast, it's aaapodcast.com/join. We're also on Patreon. Help us out. We'll give you all the hentai episodes, hobby addicts, and after parties you can handle. Speaking of after parties, we're going to be doing one right after the podcast today, so you don't have to miss a minute. And you can find us on all the social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook, of course. We're on Twitch live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We are on Discord as well, so check us out on Discord. Where are you guys located on Twitter for people who want to follow you and get the hot takes from Mason and all the fan art from Mandi?
I am Mandi X Mandi, and 90% of my feed is Hunter x Hunter. So if you like that, come follow me.
You can find me at Macy Pacey. That's MACEYPACEY. I talk about Bosco sticks and alternatives to anime 3x3. So a big range of stuff over there.
I'm at Pope Mitsugi. Lately, you can hear me decrying the death of the Xbox. That's pretty much all I'm doing. And that's about it, guys. We'll see you next week on the podcast. I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but I know it'll be great, and we know you'll be there with us, so we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.